Hey guys. Check, check, check. Hey guys. How's everyone doing? The biggest sellout band ever. Here we go. What up, Derek? What up, party boys? What up, play? Oh, is this the sexy dude convention? Wow, look at that, most dope. Immediately jump in, immediately asking for something. Here, I'm gonna be back in 2 seconds. I just wanted to get this live to let people come in. Watch this video.
Hot dogs are as true to New York as bagels, pizza, and pastrami on rye. But only one spot has been serving their franks with tropical drinks since 1932. The winning combo has spawned many imitators over the years, but tourists, celebrities, and loyal customers still seek out the original. This is Papaya King.
I've been coming in here since I was maybe 9, 10 years old, and I'm 69 now. But this place has always been tops, and everybody that's from this area or from New York knows about Papaya King.
We're in Manhattan, where hot dogs are basically around every corner in the city, and we're gonna head to the place that New Yorkers have been going for practically the last 90 years, Papaya King. But before they were selling hot dogs, they were selling something much different, so let's go find out.
Papaya King's hot dogs have been called arguably the best hot dog in New York City by food icon Anthony Bourdain.
For me, there's nothing better than a Papaya King to tamp it all down, send me off into the arms of Morpheus properly. It's the gold standard.
And praise for the restaurant has led many imitators across the city to serve a similar tropical drink and hot dog combo. But contrary to popular belief, these lookalikes have no connection to Papaya King.
The biggest misconception in New York City, and I deal with it every single day of my life, is that, oh, you're on 72nd Street. Oh, you're on 14th Street and 1st Avenue. This is the original Papaya King. A lot of the younger generation has no idea, no clue which is which. They think it's all the same. But I guarantee you, when you go to these other places, totally different product.
Before Papaya King became a destination for hot dogs, it wasn't Papaya King at all. It started as a juice bar called Hawaiian Tropical Drinks, opened by Greek immigrant Gus Poulos.
He stumbled upon the most unbelievable melon in the world, the papaya melon on a
Yeah, check, check, check. Hello. Yeah, I've heard that. Apparently, it's like a thing in New York. Apparently, Papaya King's like the absolute shit. I don't know though. I've never been there. Never been there. Where is that though? Papaya King. Yeah, I think it's in Manhattan. That's why I've never been there. If it's not like an easy walking distance from comedy clubs in New York, I wouldn't have ever been there. But yeah, they apparently just have like the world's greatest hot dogs and shit like that. Oh yeah, I saw this by the way. Since you know what? Because I was like, since the vibe now is like, all right, let's shit on Austin. And then since a lot of people are like, all right, well, fuck you. No, I don't know. I am curious about the discourse now. I don't know. Well, I gotta be that's kind of what I was trying to get at. Is I gotta be perfectly honest. I love a good wiener. I've heard that about you, Dunbar. Yeah, no, I gotta be honest. I didn't. It's like a lot of the Austin shitting. Cause also too, that's the funny thing about everyone who like shits on Austin. They think we're like, we think we're like, oh, this is the absolute mecca of stand up, and it's like honestly, well, because that's I think I've talked about before. The two big things about the people who shit on Austin, it's usually like fans who that's kind of you know, there's a lot of fans out there who this podcast stuff is like the Real Housewives. So it's like it's a show, you know, so they look at a lot of the comedian stuff as like characters in that show. So they're like, "Oh, this will make my show bad." You know, like I got a message from this dude who like, and I appreciate his love for the podcast, but I think I appreciate him listening every week. I appreciate his love for the podcast. I appreciate his enthusiasm, because you don't get support and shit like that without people's enthusiasm. So I appreciate all that, but I just get worried some of these guys take this stuff a little bit too seriously, because they view it as a show over just, dude, we're all retarded guys who don't want real jobs. So we learned how to be funny. So hopefully we could trick people into giving us money for being funny. So like, you know, they'll look at all this stuff. Like Tim Butterly's a great example, actually. Thinking about that, you know, a lot of the fans look at the comedy scene and like break it down. It's like, yeah, there's Philly and New York and Austin and LA and Chicago. And it's like, oh, what the Philly scene brought up is so raw and so fucking real, and Tim's leaving that rather than. And it's like, you know, you look at it in the context of like podcasting's your fun Real Housewives show, but in actuality, it's like you talk to Tim and he's like, yeah, Austin's sick because I get to have a whole ass house and I don't have to live in dangerous ass Philadelphia, and I can live in safe Austin, Texas, and have a whole ass house and send my kids to like a good school and stuff like that. And I'm not taking that. I'm just kind of extrapolating off of Tim's experience for what I assume. I'm not saying that's like what he said specifically, but I'm sure he's talked about shit like that. But like, you know what I mean? And like for me, you know, I know for a guy like me, I was like, yeah, I don't have a lot of shit going on. My podcast is leaving. There's a scene building up in Austin. Let's try that. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think a lot of people, so it's like a lot of the fans who sort of view this as their like Real Housewives show, and that's not like shitting on them. You know what I mean? It's better you listen to us than watch Real Housewives. But you know what I mean? It's like, I think a lot of times, you know, a lot of people will turn the podcasting verse into like a TV show and like interpret it that way. And it's like, especially too, like me and my friends and our crew we roll with, a lot of like we're kind of just like dudes who just want to say dumb shit. You know, I know a lot of my friends, like I know a lot of my friends are less into the podcast. Like I think we all like I like comedy, I like podcasting, I like saying dumb shit on social media. But then on top of that, like I'm more into the podcasting than I think some of the other guys are, but a lot of the guys still like it. And, you know, it's like this ebb and flow and shit. And it's like, but it all comes down to, we didn't want real jobs, and we wanted to try to make a couple bucks saying dumb shit during the day. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not like, oh, we're gonna get in the mix and we love the drama and we love it's like, nah, we just wanted to kind of say funny shit for an hour every week or a couple hours every week and shit like that. So it's like a lot of it, you know, and it goes back to the Mark Maron thing where like Mark Maron had a bunch of opinions about Austin and the Rogan sphere and stuff. And, you know, I had the benefit of like, I've been a fan of Rogan's for a while, so I've listened to his podcast for a really long time. So I've heard a lot of his opinions. And I just had the benefit of being like, yeah, I don't know, like what you're saying about Rogan, just that's not the case. That's not just like, you just don't have a proper understanding of like his opinions and his perspective. So it's like, and you see a lot of people, you know, complaining about this stuff. It's fine. Like it's fine to complain or to have complaints and shit like that. But then you hear him talking about it and you're like, oh, you just don't like understand the situation. I would be mad too if that was my understanding of the situation, because what you're saying sounds crazy, and that's nuts. That sucks what you're describing, but that's not what's happening. And I think it's a lot of that. And then mix that in. I also just saw a bunch of headliners will be shitting on Austin because it's like outside of the mothership, you know, there's like the Creek and the Cave, and those are the real clubs to really do like headlining spots. And it's like, I get that, but I'm like a, I'm like a mid-level comic who features sometimes. So like from my perspective, it's a whole other thing, and I don't think they consider stuff like that all the time. But I'll be honest, I love the I don't know. I love the arguing. I love that it gives people stuff to do every day. And I know I have Elephant Graveyard up here. I'm not even shit on Elephant Graveyard. I got to be honest. I've watched his stuff. He's impressive because he's one of the few guys who does this that are genuinely funny. So that's why I'm excited to watch this one. Yeah, like we all know the ones, but Elephant Graveyard has had some videos that you're like devastating, and it's funny. So yeah, and I've said it before. The podcast commentary channels are my guilty pleasures sometimes. So I get it. You know what it is? I get it 1,000%. I'd probably start a podcast. I'd probably be, if I wasn't doing stand up, I'd probably be fucking Joke World. You know what I mean? Like legitimately. So like I get it. It's just it's funny. I've never been on the side where I'm like, I'm actually kind of in the mix and part of it. That's like the weird part. I've never experienced these conversations and actually have like somewhat been a part of it and somewhat been in the mix. It's interesting. Like obviously whenever they talk about the Austin stuff and the Rogan stuff, at no point are they like, so this guy Andy Malafrina. But like I'm around, you know what I mean? So that's the interesting part. You're very rarely in the mix on something that's like developing that people are fucking bitching about. It's interesting.
Well, all that comedy investigation into the rise of the comedy czar's hell world was exhausting. I had to get the hell out of there. So I've been out at my cabin just trying to think about something else for a change. Problem is, there's no free will, and I don't really get to choose what to think about. Been thinking about a lot of different things, but seems like for every question I try to answer, I end up with 10 more. It's getting ridiculous. But mostly, the question that still haunts me every day is, how did comedy get so shit? Was it ever good? Why the hell do I even know who this guy is? And why for a moment, before my brain kicks in, does it seem normal that he's hanging out inside that sacred space at the center of the comedy universe? The comedy mothership green room.
How hard we laugh in that green room, and
it's the most fun.
And the best thing about the green room is how restrictive it is.
Oh yeah, I love restrictions.
That you just can't go in there. You got to earn that spot in the treehouse. And so anytime you open the door, you'll see some of the best comics alive. That's our little space, man, and it is the greatest thing on earth.
It's just impossible to make sense of anything.
Sorry, I was chewing my. Also, I gotta be honest. Elephant Graveyard, funny guy. If you're in the business of shitting on Ron White, you may want to rethink your life. You know what I mean? Even if maybe Ron White's overstating the point. Who knows? Maybe it's just me being a fucking comedian and respecting the legends. But I got to be honest, comedy fan. If you're a comedy fan, if you're a comedian, and you find yourself shitting on Ron White, I don't know. You might want to take a step back. You might want to take a step back and relook at it. That's, I'm not telling anyone what to do, but just understand that's where your life is. You know what I mean? And also, I got to back it up to this thing. God damn, this video. Well, that's the other part too that's always funny about these videos. They're like, they always make these videos and they're like, so here's the gayest guys on earth. And I'm going to talk about this for 5 hours. And you're like, all right. Here's your documentary you worked really hard on about these guys that suck ass, apparently. You know what I mean? And I say this, I don't want no smoke, Elephant Graveyard. I don't want no smoke. Although a Lemaire documentary would be very funny. I'm not telling you how to do your job, but a Lemaire documentary would be very funny. But no, that's always like the thing. It's always like the thing with some of these like podcast channels that always makes me laugh. They'll be like, all right, so here's the biggest piece of shit loser in comedy that if you watch his special, you're a fucking loser idiot. So I watched his special, and here's a full breakdown. It's like, what? Why don't you just go like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. That's always like my, because you know what it is? It's like when you really look at who's the biggest detriment to comedy, it's like never, I'm not saying people are above criticism, but it's like, it's never the guys they're talking about. It's like, who's like the biggest piece of shit? Bert Kreischer. And I'm just like, yeah, Bert Kreischer's actually probably helped pay a lot of my friends' rent. You know what I mean? Just, or like getting my friends on, or like co-signing them. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, when you look at it from that way, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people that Bert Kreischer has brought on the comedy tour. What's his comedy tour? I always forget what his comedy tour is called. I apologize. I'd love to be on it. I would fucking black out and sleep in a bunk with you, Bert. I say that as a huge fan, dude. No, but it's always like really, you know what it, and that's my perspective as a comedian, but I think it's something that, because once again, fans like turn this into like a TV show for them, so they like lose perspective on it. But yeah, it's just like, oh, Bert Kreischer is such a piece of shit. He does these like really cool fucking stadium shows where he brings on a bunch of comedians and he exposes them to his gigantic audience and probably pays them really well. And you just see that as a comedian, you're like, wow, what a bad person. Like, what? Like, god damn it, Bert's so fucking cool. But like, I get the perspective. I have a different perspective on Bert Kreischer. But you know what I mean? Like, but that's like my, when you really look at who are the net negatives of stand-up comedy, I always feel like these videos are it's fuck, god damn it. It's a thing that happens a lot of times in like, because a lot of people equate fandoms with the actual content. You know what I mean? Like I've always joked, like Rick and Morty fans are super annoying. Because it's always a dude you've met who you're like, hey man, have you seen 8 TV shows? Have you only ever watched like 4 seasons total of TV? And it's like the way they talk to you about Rick, but at the same time, like Rick and Morty are always like, you don't seem like you know things. But then also when you watch Rick and Morty, you're like, oh, this show's fucking amazing. It's one of those weird things. And then sometimes like they'll equate annoying people on the internet with the actual artist. And it just turns into this like weird hodgepodge. And you mix that with people taking shit like way too fucking seriously. It's like it then makes the people who aren't really that big of a problem in any way, it makes the people who like aren't even really a problem remotely, it makes them the focus when it's like in actuality, like the actual problems aren't getting touched on.
Going on here, and I can't help but feel like I must be living on another planet. I needed guidance. You know that our cerebral comedy guru, David Lucas, once told us that after his shows, we'd be thinking a lot.
My jokes are very cerebral. So if you come to my show, I might say a lot of crazy shit, but on your drive home, you're going to be thinking a lot.
And his wisdom is kind of what sparked this whole investigation into the comedy world, but I knew I needed to start thinking even more. So I wanted to go out and see David's act, and hopefully start to try and put all these disordered puzzle pieces together, to understand what's really going on at the heart of it all. Now, there's a lot of great stages out there, but for me, my favorite venue in the entire world, hands down, is a legendary Massey Hall in Toronto. Its stage has been graced by the presence of the most iconic, influential, and beloved artists of multiple generations. Gordon Lightfoot, Oscar Peterson, Charlie Parker, Joni Mitchell, Neil.
The comedy world does not need investigated. Yeah. Well, that's the thing I've noticed where I was talking about the dude. I don't know if this correlate. You know what? But you know what I've been noticing, and this is the perspective you gain with Hot Take Lemaire. it's like, yeah, I get it. Lemaire says a lot of stuff that's, he didn't really think too much through. He also says a bunch of stuff he knows what he's talking about. That's the thing, the problem is Lemaire's bad takes are pretty out there, that they overshadow the many times he's made you laugh and actually said something accurate. And yeah, no, it's like it's the response to Lemaire a lot is very exposing to people, because it is like, hey man, you might, like, when you see certain people getting mad at Lemaire, it's a thing where you're like, hey man, you might want to like take a seat, because it's like nothing Lemaire says is like gonna get you. Yeah, does he lib out and have, is a bit of a fucking lib? Sure. Oh, he's Canadian. All of his opinions are invalid. There is a bit. I agree with that, Dunbar. There is a bit of a knock for being Canadian. It's a bad look. I got to be honest. To do that in public, it's a bad look. But no, like even Lemaire, y'all see some of these comments, and I'll just be like, guys, it's Lemaire. You've been listening to him. I'm sure you all heard him 1,000 times on Matt and Shane. You've been listening to the podcast. It's like if people be like, Andy's so loud. I go, brother, do you listen to the podcast? Because there's just certain things where you're like, I think you just kind of gotta, it's like, why are you shocked at that at this point? You know what I mean? Because it's like, there's a balance that we have to do where it's like, we have to give you a good, and I don't even think people fully realize that this is what they're consuming, but it's like, you got to remember, like, you guys want, okay, and this goes back to this comment I got where the dude was coming from, where it's like, our podcast is one of his favorite podcasts. It's his job, and I say this from personal experience. His job probably sucks ass, and our podcast is like that hour, if he's on the page, the 2 hours of the day where it's like shit's fucking chill because he's got his pod on. I've been there 1,000 times at day jobs where your job sucks ass, and then you got the pod and it's fucking chill because that pod is on. And then it was like the one episode Lemaire libbed out for a little bit. And then we just talked politics, and it wasn't that funny for like the first half. And then the second half we got very funny from what I remember. And it's like, it was this whole thing of like, why do you guys do that? He like sent this message like, why do you guys do that? Why do you guys do that? It's just, it's the best. When you do that, it ruins and it's like, here's the thing. For you guys, it's like a show, which it is. But like for us, it's just, this is who we are. And we're just going to talk shit and have fun, and hopefully you guys like it. Obviously, we're going to be mindful of, if we feel like it's going gay, we're going to try not to like lean into that for too long. But like, we're always going to be mindful of like how hopefully this is entertaining for people. But the thing is, when it's like, when you're listening to a hang podcast, and it's not just specifically like, here's a comedic television show, because that's the other part of it too. Like, that's the thing people love about podcasts. But you got to remember is like, if you want the natural vibe of a podcast to be that, you have to accept that it's gonna occasionally, when something pops up in the news or whatever the fuck, or something happens, occasionally it won't be overly hilarious. And it's like, it's us just hanging out. It's us just being us. It's because the podcast is funny because we're funny. It's not funny because we're like, oh, we have to be like joke. What we do on the podcast is what we do when we like sit at the mothership, or sit out back of the creek, or just hang out at someone's house drinking beers. Like, that's what we do. We might not say Frieza. We might actually say it, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's what we do. So it's just like, every once in a while, something will happen. We'll get too serious for a little bit, but then we always like bounce back and shit like that. You know what I mean? So it's why, I forget what the exact original point was. Oh yeah, comedy does not need investigating. That's right. It's like that's the thing. I get where everyone's coming with some of this stuff, and I'm not even saying you can't critique shit, because at the same time, there's been moments where, like, I remember when I popped in, when I came down to Austin, and then everyone's like, there was a bunch of new fans that started hearing me for the first time. there was part of me that like listened to what they said. I wasn't just like, fuck you guys, I know better than you. It's like, well, if people keep saying the same shit every week, maybe I need to consider it. So there is another part where it's like, I do appreciate, like, the feedback is good. The feedback is important. I guess what I was getting back to, what I was trying to say earlier that I got a little sidetracked from, but you know I never do that, is like, because I think a lot of dudes analyze this like a TV show almost, rather than just, this is what we would do. Microphones happen to be on. Honestly, I'm thinking about this. It'd be one thing if you guys were like listening to Drag the Lake or No More Heroes and were super overly critical about that. That would actually be fair, because me and Pat are going on that being like, oh, we're authorities in music, we're authorities in movies talking about this shit. You should listen to our opinions on this. Panties in the Mouth is just like, yeah, we're going to drink beers and smoke weed and be retarded, and hopefully it's entertaining to you guys. So I say all that to say, like, it's why this, like, sometimes the overanalyzation is like, I think you guys are missing the point, you know? And I'm not saying you guys, I'm just saying, like, broadly speaking are not like, yeah, like not you guys specifically. I'm saying broadly speaking, people who like listen to podcasts. I don't know. Am I saying people listen to podcasts wrong? I don't know. It's like, it's fuck, I got sidetracked. Yeah, you know what it is? It's I think people analyze it like they almost analyze it like it's a planned out scripted TV show, when you like, you know, you're fully allowed to analyze it. You know, that's what human beings do. That's what I do. But it's like, analyze it like it's just dudes talking shit, making it up in the moment. I think a lot of times people overanalyze these things almost like it's a planned out, like it's like a reality show that people talk about it in the back. And it's like, nah, you know, a lot of this is just, we're living real life, and, you know, we're egotistical enough to put microphones in our face while we're living real life. I think that's what it is. Metzger was like that 20 years ago. They will age into it. I forget. I've been talking for a while. I forget what that was in reference to. People are psychos, dude. Listening to Butterly's Juggalo Epiphany was hilarious. Oh, can you if you guys find the timestamp on that, send that to me. If you like, wasn't that in the middle of his podcast?
Neil Young.
It was like a moment where he was like in the middle of his podcast, like in the middle of his podcast, like at the airport or something. Yeah, no, everyone always, I had that Juggalo Epiphany forever ago when I would always get booked to do these shows in New Jersey that were rap and comedy shows. And I remember I did this one show that was all the rappers on it were juggalos. And like, you go into it and you see how they interact and you're like, this is actually like genuinely beautiful. It's just the music is terrible and they're all wiggers. So you don't expect it to be so beautiful, but you're like, it's so beautiful.
C. Klein, Bob Dylan, Ella Fitzgerald, Aretha Franklin, Rush. Now, I don't know who any of these people are, but my dad says they're very important. I even saw my first ever stand-up comedy show there, Jerry Seinfeld, when I was just a wee lad. It's the oldest and most iconic venue in Canada, and performing there has long been considered a landmark event in one's career. And finally, in 2025, the strength of her stage's mythical hardwood planks would truly be put to the test, as the killers of Kill Tony, including massive comedy success David Lucas,
I'll put my hand in my ass and make you smell it,
would be taking the stage for what promised to be a wonderful comedy event. So I watched the show. When it was over, you know what? He was right. I was thinking a lot. I was thinking about how bizarre it was that these low-level, no offense, but subhuman cretins were able to perform at such a hallowed theater, wondering perhaps if I was the fool for giving the venue such reverence all these years. I pictured the ghosts of all my heroes standing on stage behind David, shaking their heads, not at David, but at themselves for being such fools, for thinking that making it to that iconic stage had meant something to them, that it meant something about their career, their art, and about the legacy they've left behind after they died. Poor Gord.
Not to overanalyze the overanalyzer, but this is also a lesson in, dude, it's like kind of why I think I subconsciously called the podcast No More Heroes. It's why you need to stop having faith in, you know, these like institutions and these concepts you have no direct correlation to. You know what I mean? Just like, oh, all my musical. I know he's being funny, so I'm overanalyzing the overanalyzer, but it is also a thing of like, yeah, I don't know. It's like I think all your heroes would let you down if you really met them.
I hated to see that. Seeing David's show only made me feel more confused about what the hell is going on with all this comedy stuff. And on that drive home, I really was thinking, why does everything that ever seemed good, like when I was a kid, now seems to be rapidly deteriorating into utter shit? And when I looked around at the other people in attendance at that show, evidently enjoying themselves, why did it feel like I was in another dimension? I tried putting a comedy podcast on, but all of them were just interviews with like the CIA or the FBI or some other guy that works for the president. Like,
yo, can I talk about this too? Where like, and I think it goes again with the percent, this whole thing where it's like, I don't know exactly how to approach it. You know what it is? It's like I've talked about it a bunch. It's like the politics are gay guy, like the guys who are like, oh, politics are gay, or the dudes who are like, it's a comedy podcast, don't talk about politics, da da da. And you're just like, what happened where like you're a fucking dickhead because you know about the world? And also, like, dude, I'm as obsessed about comedy, if not more than like anyone, dude. But like, I mean, you're telling me these guys have the opportunity to talk to these high level people, and it's like you don't give it, you're not curious even a little bit about what's going on in the world, and you don't have a inkling to like want to change it for the better or anything like that. So like this whole fucking thing, you know what I mean? Like this whole fucking thing that it's just like, no, you know, it's like people approaching it with their like very specific definition of stuff, and it's like you have to I don't know. I wish I'm not being very articulate about this. I get it, but I'm almost it's like I don't fully, like, as a guy who, you know, I got big into politics for a while. I'm not as focused on that right now, but that's just for other reasons. But it's like I've just been a guy who's curious. Like, you know what? That's what it was. I'm just like a guy who's always just been curious about shit. So this idea that you're like, oh, if you just don't, if you like know shit about the world, or if you're curious or you want to go talk to those people, it's like, you know, comics aren't just funny 24 hours during the day. There's like these moments where they're normal human beings. You know what I mean? What's up, Multisode? Podcasts used to offer an escape from the news cycle. Now they're trying to be part of it. I get that, but it's like, well, I don't know. I don't even know if they're like trying to be part of it. It's like this thing of like, if you're, well, here's the reality of it too. There's like, that's the reality. There's plenty of podcasts that like do that. You know what I mean? There's plenty that do that. It's because a lot of people like hate Theo Vaughn, and then they're like, oh, the guy I hate did a fucking gay ass thing. That's why, like, he's confirming that's why he sucks ass. But like, it's also too, it's you know, because I respect the fact that it's like you want that escape and shit like that. I respect the fact that, yeah, the news is trying to get into podcast. I agree with that, because it's like the podcasts are bigger than the news. So that's why, yeah, exactly. That's why I think a lot of the things where it's like podcasters are talking to the news. And also, I'll say this, the concept of the news is like people, because it's one thing if you're like, if I talk to someone and they're, I don't know, if they're really into the drama of politics, that's some like gay ass shit. But then it's like, I don't know, dude, if like something happened that day that was newsworthy, people associate that with like politics and shit like that. So it's like this concept of like what comedians are talking about the news is also just a thing of like, well, what everything's the fucking news to you guys, though. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to come at you guys. I really don't want it to come off that way. Because I appreciate you all and all that shit. It's not me coming at anyone. But it is, I have noticed like the concept of politics and the news is basically like everything that isn't specific media outlets like sports, wrestling, video games, comic books. Hey, Joke World, what's up, brother? How you doing, Joke World? Damn, that's funny. Joke World in the fucking chat. Look at that. What's up, Joke World? Yo, talk about us on your show, dude. Come on. Panties in the mouth, Joke World. What the hell? Come on. Put us on the next one, Joke World. But that's a weird thing that's like, love you, Joke World. I'm just busting your cock. But seriously, put us in the fucking next one. What are you doing, dude? What are you doing? Put us in the next one. Anyway, no, there is a weird thing where like if it's not like I was just saying, if it's not like football, if it's not sports, video games, movies, wrestling, like these specific genres, everyone's just like, you're talking about the news, you're talking about politics, you're talking about gay ass news and politics. What up, Joke World? Hell yeah, brother. Shout out fucking Joke World. Yeah, it's like if you're talking about anything that just like has happened in the world. And it's like, dude, there's being into the news and politics, and there's just being like an informed person. You know what I mean? Like talking about the world. So like, I don't know, man. I gotta be honest. And here's the other part too. If you're constantly like looking for the escape shit, maybe you need to sort of analyze shit. And it's like, if you constantly need this escape, maybe it's because the world's so fucked up. And I understand and I'm not trying to say you're like any of you guys are the problem or anything like that. I'm not saying you guys are like the problem or anything, because it's like there's way bigger forces in this world. But also at the same time, if everyone's just kind of like sitting on their ass bitching and shit like that, it's like, what's the hope that anything's going to get better? You know what I'm saying? So just inherently by the fact that like comics are like, we're just fucking dudes at the end of the day. It's like, you're going to hit these pockets. And then it's like Tim Dillon's one thing. Like he's like, you're also like misrepresenting, some of these shows are getting misrepresented. Like Tim Dillon's a very political podcast. You're not getting an escape with Tim Dillon. Tim Dillon's a political podcast. So like him having Steve Bannon on is not weird. You know what I mean? That's not like a surprise. That's not weird. But and then even on top of that, like, Theo Vaughn's talking to JD Vance. Theo Vaughn's talking to Trump. Like, I don't know. It's a weird. I mean, if you're an interview, would you not have them on, especially leading up to the election? And I always go back to the thing too, where it's like, oh, and these guys do softball interviews for these guys. And I go, not really. They're just not hostile to them. I always go back to the fucking Zuckerberg Rogan interview. And I know I bring this up a bunch, so I'll try to be quick. But I always go back to the Zuckerberg Rogan interview. And it's always like, well, people watch that and they go, well, he wasn't shouting at Zuckerberg the whole time. He wasn't shouting at Zuckerberg the whole time. So clearly he wanted to suck his cock off under the table. And you're like, or Rogan's a great interviewer. Or Rogan got Zuckerberg to like him, asked him revealing non-aggressive questions that when Zuckerberg answered, because Zuckerberg was feeling comfortable, he answered in an unexpectedly exposing way. And if you go watch the interview, everything Zuckerberg's everything Zuckerberg says is like very revealing to the point where he gets so comfortable he just lies about bow hunting. And then Rogan's like, "Oh yeah, can you explain anything about that?" And Zuckerberg's like, "Oh, I can't explain one thing about that." You know what I mean? So like, it's just, you know what it is? It's like, it goes back to the Mark Maron thing. There's a lot of things people are like, they do this, this, and this. And you're like, not really, though. That's the thing. They're not. I get why you guys think that, but that's not like really happening. I'm not trying to like gaslight people. It's just, it's like, I get why people, you know what it is? I was talking about this before in reference to the Rogan thing. You have a lot of these, you see it a lot with like ultra progressive liberals, because the only way they understand to debate someone is by screaming at them. They're like, "You're wrong. I need to scream at you until no one can fucking hear you." So they like watch an interview and they go, "I don't like Mark Zuckerberg. Rogan shouldn't like Mark Zuckerberg. If I don't like Mark Zuckerberg, I would scream at him. So if Rogan doesn't like him, he'll scream at him." And it's like, he's not screaming at him. What's going on? And it's like, how about you take a seat? Oh, that's so funny. This is on Twitch. This has been streaming in the Diablo 4 server the whole time. But yeah, that's the thing. And it's like, take a seat. Rogan has the biggest podcast in the world because he's one of the greatest interviewers ever. That's just a fact. So take a seat. Assume you don't know interviewing better than him, and then try to extrapolate what he's actually doing. And it's like, yeah, is Rogan perfect all the time? No. He gets the accusations of like being a chameleon, where a lot of people go, "Oh, he just agrees with everything his guests say." And it's like, no, he doesn't do that. He's just he's more flexible to everything his guests say. So it's like, that critique's fair. But then it's like, you go to like, oh, they get softball interviews. It's like, I mean, if you're paying attention, they're not. If you just hear tone and don't go off anything they're saying, I could see that being your opinion, but I'm just being a cunt. What are you saying here? Yeah, totally get you can only be on so much every week. Personally, the big pods just seem bought like regular old TV, so kind of checked out. Well, that's the other thing too, and it's like, I mean, that's why it's like, you guys should go listen to shit like Matt and Shane, and I'm sure you all listen to Matt and Shane. It's so funny. Have you guys heard of this podcast called Matt and Shane? You're watching the Big Red in the Morning stream. Let me put you on to Matt and Shane. What a hilarious concept. But no, it's like, you see a show like Matt and Shane, you see a show like Lemon Party. They don't they don't care about any of that. They're just focused on funny and talking shit, and saying what they think. They're focused on stuff like that. It's like, you also too, it a lot of it comes back to like, I see it a lot of time in wrestling. Wrestling fans will be like, "God damn it, this show fucking sucks." It's like, "Well, you going to stop watching it?" They're like, "I will watch it every single week and tweet aggressively about it every single week." So it's like, yeah, I don't know, man. You have to be a bit of an aware consumer. So like, I don't know, rather than spending your time bitching that Theo Von's just interviewing you just go watch the shit you like. Because that's the other thing too. That's the other context. Everyone's always like talking about how they interviewed, like, they interviewed Trump and JD Vance and all these podcasters. All these podcasters gave them an unfair advantage. And you're like, no, the Democrats running, I'll be nice, but like Kamala Harris was terrible. She was really bad. She's fucking weird. Everyone thought she was weird. She was a part of an administration that lied to you for 4 years. That was like, no, the president's alive. You know what I mean? Which, sidebar, have we seen Joe Biden in a while? I don't know. I've been out of news. I haven't heard anyone bring up Joe Biden doing a thing in forever. But yeah, it's just like, people just pretend like Kamala Harris wasn't uniquely terrible. And on top of that, every single one of these podcasts that had Trump on, they didn't wait, what am I trying to say? That every single one of these podcasts that had Trump on reached out to the Harris campaign and invited her on. So it's really not like, wow, like everyone's trying to reframe this conversation as like, look at all these podcasts trying to bring on Trump that they fucking love. And the conversation really should be like, why didn't Kamala Harris go on these podcasts like Trump did? And we all know why. We're all pretending not to know why. We're all pretending not to know why. We fucking know why. Because if Kamala Harris went on these podcasts, she would look like a fucking raging lunatic. You know what I mean? Because they wouldn't, and dude, they wouldn't even be mean to her. They just wouldn't be co-signing everything she says. Like if she was doing like when she, like, I remember seeing those Breakfast Clubs clip. Pardon me, boys. Sorry about that. I remember seeing the clips from the Breakfast Club. Like, they were just kind of like, they weren't being critical and they were kind of co-signing everything. So it's like, rather than the conversation being like, look at all of these Trump butt buddies, which that's not a fair assessment of it. You know what I mean? It's like, shouldn't the conversation be like, why didn't Kamala Harris do any of the shows Trump did? Like, not a single one. She did like a 20-minute interview on some news network, and then she did Call Her Daddy. And even Call Her Daddy apparently gets like close to Rogan numbers. Right? I'm looking at the podcast list just to double check this, but I'm pretty sure. Oh shit, did that fall down a little bit? Okay, 20. She's 20. So, and there's a lot of months where she's like the biggest podcast, but like even any of these podcasts, it's like crazy Kamala Harris didn't do any of these. So like, rather than being like, wow, look at that's how they have to like rewrite what happened, where it's like, no, you guys were being butt buddies for Trump. And it's like, no, like, dude, that's also too the thing about Trump. They were like, how does he do it? How does he do it? It's like, I don't know. If you run, like, look at who they ran against Trump. It's like, how in the world did he beat Hillary Clinton? You're like, guys, come on. Really? You don't know how Trump beat Hillary Clinton? A lady we're not sure isn't part lizard. And then it's like, how did Trump not beat Biden? And you're like, well, for the safety of the Panties YouTube channel, I'll stay vague, but really, they really managed to get a lot more people out that year. Yeah, you guys know what I mean. I'm not even saying that's what happened. I'm just saying, like, if it did, it happened. And then again, like, how did Trump beat Kamala? You're like, guys, can we be fucking serious for 5 seconds? Like, fuck off. You know what I mean? Come on. That's the problem, is like, you start off just having to sift through a pile of bullshit where they'll be like A, B, and C. And you're like, okay, well, A's misleading, B's just wrong, and C, like, maybe, but you don't have enough proof. It's like, it's always like that.
What the hell was actually going on here? I couldn't relax until I figured it out.
Okay, that one is funny. She went on Fighter and the Kid. That's actually crazy.
In my quest for clarity, I even, and I'm ashamed to admit this, but I even went on the sacred pilgrimage to Comedy Mecca and visited the comedy spaceship down in Austin, Texas.
This is also too, like, this is also a thing, like, yo, you're allowed to like stuff. You know what I mean? It is like, I'm very curious what he has to say, because it feels like he's gonna just, like, he's calling it an anti-reality doomsday cult. I'm very excited to see what he has to say, because it's like, hey man, I've never claimed to hate something and then fly to go visit it. Well, I wouldn't. To be fair, I'm trying to think, because I also don't have the money to go do that. Which, like and subscribe, hit up all my shit, Big Red in the Morning. all that stuff. For real, boys. Big Red in the Morning on YouTube if you want to catch some extra content with music and stuff like that. I post radio shows that usually are comedy. I post these radio shows that are music for like the first 30 minutes, then I end up ranting a bunch for the second half. But anyway. Yeah, I mean, I guess like if I genuinely hate, it's one thing like I want to go and visit Waco and visit Dallas to see where Kennedy got shot. Like, I don't like what the CIA did, but like I'm into conspiracy. So it's like, yeah, I will say like doing all this traveling to visit things you genuinely hate is very funny. Yes, and also calling it the spaceship is funny too.
I paid about $800 for a ticket. My ticket said something about a mandatory drink, but I'd lost the stub and
He also might be lying. I am also realizing he also just making this up because like I gotta remember Elephant Graveyard is actually genuinely funny.
couldn't remember how many I was dictated to have. The vibe in there was so tense I thought I might get
That's not fair. 2-drink minimum standard everywhere you go, brother.
literally shot in the head if I did anything wrong, so I drank about 8 Negronis just to be safe. I went to find the washroom, and when I got there, to my dismay, I discovered that Joe, the comedy czar, had actually removed his own special from the Comedy Wall of Fame that he put up there. Maybe he just got embarrassed after we pointed it out, but I think it's the first sign that he knows his scheme is at risk of being exposed and he's begun to hide his tracks. But anyway, I watched the show. It was, fine, I guess. But, it really couldn't compare to the pleasure I experienced releasing those 8 Negronis into the toilet pipe. The armed guards at the door stole my phone and placed it in a locked bag, so I wasn't allowed to take any more photos. So I sat there drawing a picture of what I was witnessing on the free napkin that came with my Negronis. Now we've been getting a lot of feedback saying that we are very negative, so here's something positive about the experience. The show is only a couple hours long, which for $800 is insane, but it's so boring that it feels like it's about 5 or 6 hours, so that improves the value at least. As you walk into the room, you're reminded of 2 of the most horrific...
That's yeah, it's kind of fun. I go because like, I mean, just by sheer I wonder what the lineup at the mothership is. I think it's random actually. A lot of nights. No, it's just, you know what it is. I'm not trying to like overanalyze this guy. I'm not trying to overanalyze the overanalyzer. But like, I mean, dude, you go to any showcase in Fat Man, half the lineup is headliners. You know what I mean? Yeah, like literally tonight you could go. Yeah, I don't think they announced the name, the people on the show ahead of time. I think you just gotta know. Yeah, I don't think they announced these ones ahead of time. But yeah, it's like Joe Rogan and friends, half that lineup's going to be like headliners and shit. So yeah, it's funny when you watch these, you go like, hey man, you might not like stand up. You know what I mean? You might also, people got to also remember sometimes you like, I call it like, a lot of times people will be like, dude, you ever notice buildings were taller when you were younger? And you're like, oh, you just, you got rose-colored glasses. And then what happens a lot of times is you get those rose-colored glasses, and then they start turning into like VR goggles. And now you start creating a past. It's like you see it a lot of times with conservatives when they're like the good old days, and half of it feels made up. And you're like, I don't know if you're remembering an actual thing.
acts of brutality ever.
Because like to like, I gotta be honest, and I'm not gonna, I won't, out of respect, I won't name names, but like, if you go back to like, dude, like, I get it. There's a lot of bad comics right now. For every good comic, there's a bunch of bad ones. I get it. But if you're telling me in a world where people like, I mean, like Ari Shaffir, Big J Okerson, shout out my boy Shane. You know what I mean? Like all my friends, McCusker, Tommy, Chris, like all the boys. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're telling me in a world where these guys exist, you're telling me right now is worse than what, the 80s? Dude, even the 90s. Like, yeah, there's a bunch of legends from the 90s we lost and stuff like that, but it's like, I don't know. I'm not trying to make a hot ass take, but just like broadly speaking, like the good, it's like that with every kind of art form. It's like the good shit now, it's people get fucked up because there's so much bad shit. It's just there's smaller barriers to entry with all this stuff. So there's like there's like way more bad shit. But I'm telling, it's like that's why, like, the fact that there's a higher level of bad shit now is more of a reason why, you know, if bad shit starts affecting your day to day, address that problem. But it's more of a reason why you should just spend more time focusing on good shit. You know what I mean? So you don't just get bogged down. All you're worrying about all day is bad shit. You know what I mean? That might be a beneficial experience. Sorry. I was like moving my cameras around, but now I don't want them where they were. Now I want them back where I don't want them where they are. I want them back where they were. But yeah, I don't know, man. This is my journey of over analyzing the analyzer. I have to actually piss super hard. I'll be right back, guys. You used to only hear about the good shit. Now we hear about everything, and we're realizing there's so much bad shit. Yeah. But also, like, I don't know. Maybe it's my nature to like I try to glass half full life as much as possible because it just gives you a better perspective. Um, in my opinion, it does. But like, I'll stand on business. I think the better. Well, here it's so two things. One, people don't often go back and watch the old shit with a critical mind. Because I got to keep it a buck. There is a lot of stand-up comedy from legends that if you go back and watch it now, it does not hold up. And they deserve all the respect. They deserve a big, strong thank you for your service. But there's a lot of just like old school comedy that wouldn't fly today, not because everyone's sensitive, just because it just wouldn't hit the same. You know what I mean? And it's like they were important to the process, but there's a difference between they were good for their time and they would still hit now, because there's a lot of old acts, and that goes for movies, for TV shows. It's like that one fucking movie where some random, like, everyone just forgets that the Beatles exist, so some random Indian guy knows all the Beatles songs, and it's like in the early 2000, like 2010, 2015, whenever the movie came out. It was just like a random Indian guy, and he like, I have all the I was trying to do a shitty Indian accent. He's like, I have all the Beatles songs, and everyone hears it, and he immediately becomes like world famous. You're like, that wouldn't happen. The Beatles got famous at their time period because of the time period, and it's not to say the music's not good. It's just like it was a time and place thing, and also they just had an amazing machine behind them and stuff, and. Yeah, no, you're telling me if the Beatles just came out randomly today, they'd be just as big. That's not true whatsoever. It's a very childish concept for a movie. It's the same thing. So that's the other thing people don't go back and watch the old shit with a critical mind. They watch it with an emotional mind. And it's like, dude, a lot of the old shit does not hold up as much as you think. There's a bunch of stuff that does. Like, me and my wife watch Scorsese shit all the time. A bunch of his old stuff still holds up. You know what I mean? Like, there's a bunch of albums. What the fuck? Like, yeah. I mean, we could go down the list with all this shit. There's a bunch of albums. Remember Pat got me to listen to that Refused album. That shit's from like the late 90s. It's still like, you could put it out today and it would still be a very unique, powerful thing. You know, so it's the problem is a lot of people are coming to conclusions off of like false concepts. But yeah, I would put today's shit, and obviously you don't get today's shit without yesterday's shit, but I would put today's shit up against anything from back in the day. Like, I'm not saying it's all better. I'm just saying the good shit now gives anything from back in the day a run for its money. 1000%. But people get confused because the problem is, well, it's a problem depending on how you look at it. Well, it's just, if people were just a little bit more proactive about looking for their media, this wouldn't be a problem. But they're not, and they just take whatever gets thrown at them. And usually the stuff that's just okay or bad, they're way better at promoting it. So it gets way more in your shit. And from that perspective, I completely understand I completely understand the anger from that perspective. That's fair.
Committed. Which is good, because when you're thinking about what happens when an atomic bomb blows up over your head, it makes the terrible show you're witnessing seem like an okay alternative. No idea who the comics were. Who cares? They were shit. And of course they were, we already knew that. What we want to find out is why or how. But the vibe was very bad in there, very negative, and so I got the hell out of there and began walking down 6th Street, where a horde of scary, methed-out ghouls began to oogle me, which, compared to the vibe in the comedy Spaceship, was honestly much more welcoming.
I'll say this too. Not to say it's weird how much they let homeless people like just hang out on, like, not on 6th Street, but around 6th Street. I will admit it is weird how much the city just lets them hang out. It's never as bad as people describe it, though. It's sad. It's the saddest thing you've ever seen when you see it. And there'll be little pockets here and there where you're like, they really let a lot of them just hang out. You know what I mean? But no, honestly, like, I think I maybe have heard one person tell me a story about getting not even like attacked. But yeah, I'm not going to pretend like there's nothing wrong with the homeless shit. It's crazy what they let them do. But people always oversell the homeless problem a lot.
And that's when I saw it. In the alleyway behind the mothership, a flock of comedy pilgrims.
And also too, I am also acknowledging, I understand this guy's trying to be funny.
Had gathered, lining up. They told me they had traveled from all over the country for their... And that's when where a horde of scary, methed-out ghouls began to oogle me, which, compared to the vibe in the comedy Spaceship, was honestly much more welcoming. And that's when I saw it. In the alleyway behind the mothership, a flock of comedy pilgrims had gathered, lining up. They told me they had traveled from all over the country for their chance to win 1 minute of stage time there, their opportunity to climb the ladder to a higher tier class of...
Okay, so he's either being funny or... Because that's not how it works. You have to line up... Well, you have to go... I think the mics are on Monday? Because he's making it seem like that was happening in the middle of the night. No, the mics are like on Monday, and I think you can sign up around 3 or 4. I think. I only did it once, and it was very sad. It was very sad having to... It was very sad having to wait in that line, so I never did it again. I let it bother me and get to me. I never did it again. I go, I'll just not do this because I hate this. Also, between you and me, they stacked the list a little bit, but I didn't say that. Yeah, no, it's because I think he's talking about the open mic, and that happens on Monday in the middle of the afternoon.
Human, a real comedian. I couldn't believe how many of them there were. They were all over the place, living in their cars, in tents. So many comedy pilgrims everywhere, just taking over the entire area.
I will say this, by the way, there is a part of this where it seems like if this dude just what the fuck am I trying to say? If this dude just doesn't care and does this to be an agent of chaos, that's very funny to me.
And I started thinking about how the hell all these people ended up here. I started thinking about human migration. Like, how did you end up where you are? No matter who or where you are, at some point, some guy in your lineage looked around and said to himself, I gotta get out of here. Packed up and went to a new place. And with that spirit in mind, I packed my bags and headed home. When I got back to my cabin, I placed a photo of my guru above my typewriter with a sign that said, "Keep thinking." And that's what I did for several weeks, obsessively, compulsively. And it led me to discover what's actually going on behind all this unsettling comedy stuff. And that we were right to find it so unsettling and evil and vile. And that what we're witnessing with this Austin comedy thing is actually part of a massive operation designed to destroy the entire world. And I know that sounds kind of out there, but as you'll see, that's actually part of their design. I thank my comedy guru David for helping me get my thinking back on track. Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha. To answer the question of how comedy got so shit, we need to go back about 375 million years. To the first of those migrations we mentioned earlier. Migration is baked into our DNA, guys. I don't know if you knew that in advance, but I am seeing on my YouTube analytics here that 87% of you only got your grade 10. So, in case you weren't aware, humans began as simple tubes. A mouth and an asshole. Purest form of a proper organism. Just floating in the ocean somewhere, and eventually that tube evolved into this fish kind of thing. And this fish... This was the first in our...
You know, it'd be funny. If he did stand up, he'd learn to not do such long setups. Oh, my God. I learned that about 2 years in, brother. Get to the point.
Lineage to become a new guy and to migrate. The ocean where he was all fucked up, and he looked around and said, I gotta get the hell out of here. And he migrated out of the water and onto the land, becoming a land guy. He then somehow transformed into a little rat kind of thing with nipples. And the nipple rat evolved into like a monkey chimp thing or whatever. And then the chimp or ape or whatever, it became...
All right, I'm going to keep it. I've been very, because I had to yap forever and ever and ever. So I'm like barely into the video. I'm going to skip ahead to where he at, because I'm just curious about, I give him sorry, I'm trying not to be cunty. I don't want this. I don't want the smoke. I'm sorry, Tim. What were you saying? Comedy when he was a kid. It was Tosh.0 and Jeselnik did what Marin did, trying to shit on the new comics. Yeah, Marin and Jeselnik are bumming me out because I liked both of them a bunch, and now they're just. It was like, dude, I saw this clip pop up of Nate and Lemaire. I think they were doing the Patreon for Matt and Shane, maybe. Whatever it was, but they were talking about Mark Maron, and Nate just summed it up where he's like, he's just such a fucking dork now. You know what I mean? It's like the way he's just like maneuvering. He's like, dude, you're just a fucking dork, and it's a bummer. I don't think homeless were. I don't think the homeless were oogling at him. I think they didn't give a rat's ass about him. Yeah, I did. I gotta be honest. Like the homeless are like, I don't want to jinx myself, but like I'm shocked. I'll say it this way: I'm shocked at how little of a problem I've had with the homeless in Austin. He's not doing a very good job of being funny. Better consider his opinions on stand up. Can't even pronounce thing correctly. See what I don't like about dudes like this in red bars. They take the high ground of being smarter. Yeah. Well, it's you know what it is? It's it like ironically reminds me of when everyone was spazzing about rape jokes. And it's like you're doing this awful joke that no one likes. Everyone's offended. And then they pull up the clip of the joke and they pull up a clip of the joke and then it's a video of an entire audience laughing at a joke. So like, you know, I get it. Comedy's subjective, and I've seen absolute horseshit do well, you know, just broadly speaking. But there is an element of it where you're like, I mean, do you just not like it? Do you just not are you bitter about something? I don't know. Do you just not like it though? And that's fine. It's like, you know, feel whatever way you want about Kill Tony. I've seen a lot of people with a lot of opinions. Feel everyone about Kill Tony. They're an open mic that can fill an arena. So, like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. It just might not be your thing. I think it's all about dude. Like whenever I've seen Elephant Graveyard stuff, I'm like, I sometimes I think this is all genuinely a bit. If you're smart enough to not make content on comedy, you should. Loving these insights from your perspective. I completely agree. Also, appreciate your Every Time I Die shirt. Hot Damn is my favorite album. Radical is mine. Hot Damn is a extremely close second. Hot Damn gets the nostalgia pick. But Every Time I Die discography. I'm just curious. I haven't like given my rundown of Every Time I Die. This is the best thing about Big Red in the Morning streams. They will go in insane tangents. Yeah, I think it's Radical, Hot Damn, Low Teens, Parts Unknown, Gutter Phenomenon, X Lives, Big Dirty New Junk, Last Night in Town. Anyway. Yeah, so I'm going to jump ahead. To see if there's any like actual like criticisms. These moments are what makes me think he's a troll. Like this is all just fake. I'm gonna check out this band while you skip. Gutter Phenomenon is pretty incredible. Yeah, Gutter Phenomenon is really good. It just it was like their attempt at going mainstream. Also, if you listen back to it, it may not be noticeable if like depending on the headphones you have or like where you listen to it. If you go back and listen to Gutter Phenomenon versus like other albums, the mix is like not great in context. You know what's really funny about this too? It's almost similar to the Mark Maron thing, where it's like, what's wrong with Austin comedy, Mark? Well, here's the thing about trans rights. And you're like, okay, so something else? You know what I hate about Austin comedy? This thing about trans people. Okay, so that's a different thing. And I'm wondering if he's about to do it. It's like, so here's about the anti-reality doomsday cult. So Elon Musk, and you're like, okay, I'm listening. That's also, yeah, you know what I mean? It's like when you're talking to someone about stuff like this, and like Elon bought Twitter just because people were being mean to him. And it's like, yeah, don't get me wrong, he definitely has petty moments. And I say this as a guy who does not fucking like Elon too often. But you're like, you know what it is? Like, moderately intelligent people will look at people like Trump or Elon and underappreciate how smart they actually are. You know, and that's not, and then also moderately intelligent people also hear stuff like that and they go, you said he's smart, so you're saying he's a good guy? And you're like, no, I can acknowledge that people I don't like are smart. But that's the thing about Trump. Like, Trump's oh, did you say sound on YouTube is off? Oh, yeah, this happens sometimes. I don't know why. Thank you for letting me know. Let me pull that back up. Let's play that again.
Him a loser were just bots and trolls.
There we go. So yeah, so it's like the thing with Trump is Trump. The fuck? Jesus Christ. Dude, the YouTube browser does so much random, like, because I use YouTube a bunch because I make those fucking, I'll make like reaction videos and shit like that and all that kind of stuff. And then it's like the amount that this fucking website spazzes when you try to like finagle the video and shit like that. Oh yeah, but like that's the problem too with Elon is like, don't get me wrong, he's like weird and petty and all this other shit, but he also has a bunch of other stuff going on where he's trying, because people will be like, well, that's the thing with Elon, people always forget. They're like, he just bought Twitter because people were being mean to him. And it's like, or think about his businesses, think about the business he has. He's shooting rockets into space, drilling holes in the ground. He's making electric cars. And he had like one other thing, right? Oh yeah, he's trying to put fucking chips in your head. And it's like he's starting off with, like, let's just ignore the fact that he's literally being he's being a supervillain in a movie. Let's just ignore that for 5 seconds. All those things. He wants to do Neuralink. He has to get like, I don't know what specifically, but I gotta imagine it's like FDA, some sort of government approval to do those tests. To shoot rockets into space, you have to get government approval to do that. Dig holes under California, government approval to do that. Do the Tesla shit. Like, not so much now, but when he was first starting, he's like, he had to like do a bunch of shit to map out these cities so these Teslas can like have the maps and the info and all this other shit, so it can make like heavy government approval for all the fucking weird science fiction things he wants to do. And then on top of that, he's gotten over the years a fuck ton of handouts from the government. He's gotten a shit ton of money. I'll give him credit on a lot of these things. Like, I know on Tesla he got like hundreds of millions of dollars, but he paid it all back. But he didn't have that hundreds of millions of dollars, so he wouldn't have been able to get Tesla to where it is in the time it got. And he wouldn't be able to be the richest guy in the world if the government didn't just give him a shit ton of handouts. You know, he worked really hard and he's really smart, but he got like a huge fucking boost from the government with all the money. So Elon does all this stuff. He needs the government, you know? He needs the government to be on his side. He needs to be friends with Trump and all this other shit. Now, they're not really friends like that anymore, so maybe he like made this calculation, learned some shit, and now he's making a new calculation. But if we just go on like what was, you know, he needs the government on his side. So he's like, you got to look at it like him playing the long game. And he's like, all right, so I need, because did he buy Twitter before or after the assassination attempt? But I think he was playing the long game where he was like, the Democrats don't seem like they're going to work with me, and they don't seem, the Democratic Party doesn't seem like they're going to work with me. They don't seem like they're going to win. So I need to get in good with the Republicans and Trump and shit like that. How do I do and then how do I help them out? I get Twitter. I fucking make it so the vibe shifts to that. Like, Elon's working on all other levels than just like, you guys were mean, I'm going to buy Twitter. So that's why it's like, I'm sure that was a part of it, but to just state it as that, it's just so irritating. It's just missing such a bigger picture. It's missing such a bigger picture that's going on with all this shit.
So he could just kick them out and reshape the site into a loop. He just wants to win. Good at virtual gamers all started watching it. While he was seen as a funny comedy guy to his hyper reality, wormed his way into the stand-up comedy world, got on stage with Dave Chappelle, and just got booed by an arena full of comedy.
You also got to remember, this was the very beginning of people being like, Elon's gay as fuck. Elon, like, this is where a lot of these videos and a lot of these opinions, I'm not even coming at Elephant Graveyard specifically, but a lot of these videos and a lot of these people with these opinions, they just go like, okay, so what I'm going to need you to do is to forget a lot of what has happened. Just have no context to the vibe of it at any point. And it's like, yeah, this moment literally was a tipping point for a lot of people to be like, wait, do a lot of people think Elon's a fucking loser? And it's like, all before that, before people started to realize like Elon might not just be a mindless leftist, it was like, yo, Elon's the man. No one was shitting on him. Everyone fucking liked him. You know what I mean? Then people started to realize like, wait, does he have the wrong politics? That's when people started to think Elon was fucking gay. And this idea too, where it's like, Elon's infiltrating comedy. It's like, by what? Yeah, he said that cringy shit where he's like, legalize comedy. Yeah, the fucking retard doesn't know what he's talking about. But what does he actually do to influence comedy? And then again, it's like these people that are like, yeah, also too, just to, you know, if Elon, like, also before we all just agreed Elon was gay as shit, like, you're telling me he shows up, hey, Dave Chappelle, Elon Musk is here. I mean, dude, even I don't like the guy, but if Elon Musk was like, if they were like, yo, Elon Musk is here, he wants to talk to you, I'd be like, I'll talk to the fucking guy. Like, do you understand the perspective? You understand the shit you're going to learn from, like, even if this guy wasn't smart, you would just, like, the fact that he's the richest guy in the world, he experiences life so much different. You just talk to him for an hour, you're just going to get a whole new perspective on how shit works. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Fans rejected again. Even got into the government somehow. Started trying to cut all this funding from every.
That's funny too. He got into the government somehow. Yeah, how do people with a fuck ton of money even get into the Oh, that's what they all do. He just wanted more attention with it. All right, I'm gonna. Okay, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk. Okay, here we go.
Of an actual comedy scene. The whole scene is irrefutable proof. Into your simulation, the stronger the pillars off, it's not challenge you.
We have a sort of
grasp over the world.
Elon wants to do a full migration into his hyper reality, but he can't pull it off. It's not believable enough yet.
That is kind of funny because that is a thing. That's a very funny thing we're experiencing with billionaires and tech bros. They have like the most money, but like this is why I say, what do I say? This is why I say like public opinion and the public being informed is actually much more useful than people realize. It's just people have been uninformed for the longest time, so it feels like the public being informed doesn't work. But like there's a like okay, Mark Zuckerberg has all this money, he's all this power and da. He's still like, if we think he's a like he's still put an effort to look like he's not a fucking weirdo. Like he came out, he wigger maxed, he put on some muscle, he learned how to act normal around people because the common people were like, oh, that guy literally might be an alien. You know what I mean? Like Zuckerberg's weirdness was made more people believe in aliens than Zuckerberg's weirdness made more people believe in aliens than the fucking the shit the Pentagon told us about aliens. You know what I mean? Like, so like you have this dude who's like one of the richest guys in the world. He has so much power. He still has to worry about what we think. And it's the same thing with Elon. He still has to worry about what we think. So like that goes back to why the free market's so great. You can have these guys with all these powers, but if we think they're gay pussies, they can't really do shit. And they have to convince us that they're not gay pussies. So then they have to like make something that benefits us.
His main problem is that not enough other guys are joining him in his hyper reality anymore. The more guys you can get to buy into your simulation, the stronger the pillars necessary to uphold the new reality become. Which brings us back to this. This right here is irrefutable proof that the comedy...
Hey, by the way, Multitoad, I'm doing the multi-stream on Restream. I didn't see the update. Yeah, Multitoad, resubscribe with Prime. Been subscribed for 10 months. Thank you so much, brother. If anyone else watching on Twitch or any of you beautiful people on YouTube have a Twitch Prime, mosey on over to twitch.tv/BigRedInTheMorning. And you could help the Big Red boy out a little bit. I'll show you a strong pillar. Fuck him up, Dunbar. Go to Canada and put your penis in him. And then Cellrat, resubscribe for 6 months. Wait, they've been subscribed for 7 months. That sentence doesn't make sense. You've resubscribed for... but you've done 7 total. Is that what that means? And then David Wayne hit the follow 5 days ago. Also, anyone on Twitch, Dunbar was doing it last time. If you guys want to... If you don't want to spend the whole... Because didn't you guys say the subbings... Didn't you guys say the subbing's kind of expensive, like $8 or something? Give me some bits. Give your boy some bits. Make me feel nice. Anyway, enough shilling.
Spaceship and the entire Austin comedy toilet is a hyper-real simulacrum of an actual comedy scene. The whole scene is ruled by its God King.
You know what's funny? I have to give Elephant Graveyard some credit. He's like kind of intentionally ripping off that Adam Curtis guy. And because he's literally pulling lines from it, his one documentary, hyper normalization. I think that's what he's doing. And now I'm realizing I think that's what he's doing. He's pulling from that hyper normalization documentary, which he may. I remember fucking Shane and the War Mode guys were talking about that on the pod. I wonder if he got that from them, which would be a really funny full circle.
The comedy czar, Joe Rogan. We already discussed how Joe became the comedy czar in our last video, so go watch that if you don't understand what we're talking about here. The comedy czar rules over his dominion with complete domination, and as you'll see, the entire scene is designed to strengthen and maintain Joe's personal, hyper-real simulacrum. Joe has been sliding into hyper-reality for several years, and is now completely immersed in the simulation.
I think this is him trying to be funny a little bit. Hey, Dunbar with the cheers. Thank you, brother. Hey, Touch Metrics with the resub. Thank you, boys and girls. Guys, that really means a lot. I'm trying to get the subs up. I'm trying to wherever I got everything everywhere. Wherever you guys can do it. I got the YouTube, I got the Twitch, I got the TikTok, I got all the fucking shit. If you can help your boy out, help your boy out. It really means a whole lot. I don't want a real job. And it's on you guys to make sure that never happens. It's all your responsibility. Anyway, thank you. Oh, but yeah, this guy's clearly trying to be funny, but also like there's an element of it that he's dead serious at the same time. Dude, if that's the case, that makes me respect him less because it's the smart version of Spider-Man 26. What's Spider-Man 26? Explain yourself a little more. Time stamped out of our lives. I'm kind of confused what you're saying.
A reality in which he is a very smart, special boy.
My personality that is just immune to bullshit.
He has a unique ability to see what's really going on in the world, and he's helping society by scouting for the otherwise unseen danger up ahead.
I'm like a scout, right? Like if you sent me down the trail, and I'm like, hey, there's a cliff. We're running towards a cliff. Stop, everybody stop. There's a cliff! There's a cliff!
He believes the universe chose him as a sort of prophet, destined to help guide humanity through this age of chaos. But just like Jesus...
That's kind of funny because I don't know what he actually feels, but like I've heard him a bunch on the pod. He's like very overly humble. Like I don't know if he's just privately a psychopath or whatever the fuck. I don't think he is. I'm being kind of funny on that. But like it's like it'd be one like maybe Rogan's like privately a but it's just it's actually kind of hilarious. Oh, I see what you're saying, timestamp. Just you were saying like, oh, he's just remaking it the same way. Well, I'll give him a pass. He's inspired by, which is fair. No, but it's just funny to say that because it's like once again, it just goes back to the fact that it's like, brother, I've listened to his podcast. He's actually like shockingly humble. Now, is it fake? I don't know. I don't think it is. I mean, I don't know him real well, but everyone I've talked to who knows Rogan pretty well, it's like he's like shockingly normal. You know what I mean? And yeah, so it's like, yeah, he's incredibly outwardly humble.
Jesus Christ, the people misunderstood and rejected him.
Like the universe has put me in this place where I can at least have access to more opinions than most people. And they're like, you're an anti-vaxxer! You don't believe in science!
Yeah, see, that's the thing that always happens. That's the thing that always happens when they try to fucking it's like, can you believe Rogan said this? And you're like, what did he say? And then they say it, then they pull up the clip, and you're like, that's not what he said. He's saying, like, I'm in a unique position with this podcast because people seem to like to know what I'm saying. People seem to like to hear what I have to say.
Where I can at least have access to more opinions.
People misunderstood and rejected him.
Like the universe has put me in this place where I can at least have access to more opinions than most people.
Yeah. It's why it's hard to tell if he's like once again, I was saying before, if he's 100% trolling, just trying to get people mad and just trying to get dumbasses like me to talk about it for 2 hours. PITM on JRE, brother. Hopefully that would be crazy. That would actually be crazy. I want all the obviously there's more likelihood that like Lemaire and Nate would get on, but like at one day, I just want it so badly. I want it so because it's like here, wait. Like you got, I don't feel like pulling it up. You guys know the whole like how Joe Rogan does it, where it's like he shows the guest, and then in the orange lettering to the side, it says all that and this and that. It's like so and so number this and that. It would just be so funny for it to be like Joe Rogan Experience number 2000 and whatever, panties in the mouth. That would make me so fucking happy. We could bomb. No, actually, if we bomb the episode, I'd spiral and it would be bad. But yeah, it would make me so fucking happy. So fucking happy to just in that lettering, just see it say panties in the mouth. Rogan in the panty sphere. Yeah. Well, to be respectful, it'd be panties in the Rogan sphere. They got on, you'd gotta get on. You're the third musketeer, brother. Well, if they want panties, I'm saying Lemaire's probably getting on first out of any of us. If any of us get on, it's probably Lemaire. He can that would be fun too. Watching Lemise live out. God. I don't know if I'm a bad friend or not. I just want to so badly see Lemaire breakdown videos. Like I want to see it so bad. Just watching people process Lemaire and take him dead seriously on everything. God fucking damn it, I want to I don't know if that makes me a bad friend or not. I want to see it so bad. PITM on Rogies would be a fresh alternative to Parks. Oh, well, thank you. I mean, Parks is great. I'm not coming for those boys. They're fucking very talented. But yeah, it'd be fun. It would just, because I remember it kind of like, it happened a little bit when we were on with Lewis, when we did Real Ass Podcast forever ago. And Lewis was very funny and like fucking did the dance with us. But like when you get the three of us in a room together, it's just the whole retard thing turns on in a different type of way. And like sometimes you'll see the people we're with, we sort of now like Rogan would be, I mean, we'd probably be a bunch of pussies just on our P's and Q's, like being like, yes, sir, Mr. Rogan, sir, yes, sir. I'm half kidding. But like if you guys go back to that's why like logistically it's not always the easiest thing to do because it's three of us. But like, yeah, man, anytime we've been on a podcast where it's all three of us on someone else's podcast, we just like we steal the podcast from them and we just make it ours. And it's so fun. And there's a different, like, I don't know if you guys understand, there's a different pressure on you when you're the guest versus the host. Because when you're the guest, it's like, it's way more carefree and loosey goosey and easy peasy shit. Because it's like it's their job to make sure the someone grabs the wheel and steers it the right direction. You just have to sit back and go like, what do you want? And it's all three of us not having to worry about. And then it's yours. So there's always a part of you that's like worried about your product going out there. When it's someone else's, like not that you're trying to like bomb their episode or anything, but there's a much more carefree energy to it. So it's like when it's all three of us on someone else's podcast, the way we get to just kind of like relax and just be fully retarded is a special thing. Still would love to see it. I'd love to see it. I don't think it would go well. Penny boys are too much for Rogan. I don't know. I think he'd be fine. I think Rogan's a cool dude. I've only got to meet him. I only got to meet him like once. And it was like real relaxed environment in the green room. And he was just a very nice person. He's cool.
And they're like, you're an anti-vaxxer. 300. They allow polygamy now in Ontario. Yeah, they just passed a law. They allow polygamy because they have so many Muslims there.
His hyperreality no longer has any real connection to classic reality. So when did Joe begin this psychic migration? Well, a few years ago, he decided LA was the reason his life sucked. So he got the hell out of there, moved down to Austin, Texas.
It's just like it's the same thing over and over again. It's like the same thing. It's the same thing over and over again where it's like, yeah, Rogan was just tired of LA. And it's like, well, no, COVID was absolutely fucking retarded. COVID was next level retarded. And also he got the Spotify deal and they were going to fucking steal more than half of his Spotify deal. All of those are really valid reasons to fucking leave. Like, that's my thing where it's like these people talk like you're a fucking monster. And you're like, I mean, that seems like a really valid reason to leave there. The fuck are you talking about?
You saw it during the George Floyd times in L.A.
Oh, yeah.
When they were burning those cop cars on the highway, and I remember seeing that going, I got to get the out of here.
Oh, shit, he actually said it. When he realized he was still miserable in Austin, he had to get the hell out of there again. But he had nowhere else to go, so he began a full-on migration into his simulacrum. Because he's so rich and holds autocratic control over his entire simulacrum, he can be the dictator of what is and isn't real. Like the fact that he's a real comedian, one of the greats. And that the world as we know it is finished. It's the end of the age. Doomsday is upon us.
We are in Kali Yuga.
We are in Kali Yuga.
And the Hindus were very smart in their idea of, it was the Hindus, right?
Yes, the Hindus, yes.
They came up with this idea that there are certain ages, almost unavoidable, of civilizations.
Correct.
That they go through these cycles.
Yeah, I got to be honest. There's sometimes these videos where you're like, this guy's fucking dumb. Listen to what he said. And then the response is like, you believe that guy? And you're like, well, why was his move from LA bad? Also, why are you saying he's miserable here? It's just like, you know what it is? And I get it. It's, well, I don't know. I think I'm like giving this guy too much. I think I'm just worried there's a universe where he would make a Andy Elephant Graveyard video. Although that might be fun, but also might be horrifying. So I don't know. I'm just not trying to like fucking, I'm not trying to get the smoke. I don't want no smoke. But it is kind of funny where it's like you're just kind of making assertions, you know, and it goes back to like a thing I was saying where it's like I'm starting to realize in a lot of these situations, I go, hey man, I think you're fighting with, and I'm not being specific to like Elephant Graveyard, but even someone like you know, like how Mark Maron's been, or you see it with a bunch of people. You're like, hey man, I think you're fighting with someone you've created in your head. You know what I mean? I think that's what's happening.
What is the period we're in now? Because it seems like it's coming to an end.
This is Kali Yuga, man. This is some weird shit that was predicted by the Bhagavad Gita. This is
Battle of the Gods.
Yeah.
Ragnarok. Tell me.
This is what happens in cultures. Like, it's almost inevitable.
He even.
Well, you know what's funny too? What else do we talk about? I'm trying to see what else he gets into on here. It's kind of funny too, like the way he's bouncing all over the place and the way he's constructed this timeline, the way he's like pulling these specific clips. I go, you're a fan of his, man. You're a fan of his. Tonya, what's up, brother? You like someone who's like has genuine hatred would not have this like detailed of like clip pullage. You know what I mean? That's why it makes me think this is all a bit. I don't know though. Everyone pretending they didn't act like a Frieza during COVID is really starting to piss me off. Yeah, well, it's a lot of these like big blunders of history that we've been living through. It goes back to the Trump thing I was saying. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, all these comedians were bricked up for Trump," and you're like, "No." A lot of them outwardly said they wish they could vote Democrat, but just she was so bad, and Trump was actually promising good shit. So like everyone's remembering that wrong. Everyone's just being like, oh yeah, you guys spazzed a little during COVID and it wasn't that bad. And you're like, COVID was actually like really bad. But it was like really bad because of the government response. Not because of the actual, not that the virus didn't do bad shit. But like it was made substantially worse by the government response. It is a long tongue-in-cheek bit. Yeah, because it's like, you know what it is though? It's just weird. It does feel like a long con bit, like he's trolling. But at the same time, it's like the way he's going about it, it does still feel like he means it and he actually because this is another thing, dudes who sort of walk down these roads, they do this a lot. You can tell this guy actually cares very deeply about comedy. He wouldn't be doing a YouTube channel with hour-long, heavily edited videos dissecting comedy if he didn't care deeply about comedy. But he also feels gay for caring. So he has to layer it in a high level of irony where he gets an easy out saying like, I was just trolling. You guys took it too seriously. Ha ha, got you. And it's like, maybe. But also, I think you care very deeply about comedy. And to that I go, that's fine, brother. It's okay to give a shit. There's a weird thing we're doing now. There's a weird thing we're doing now where people are getting shamed into giving a shit. And I think that fucking sucks. I think it's, I don't know. I'm going to sound like a fucking after school. Dude, mustache is looking good today. I'm going to sound like an after school special. I think it's completely fine to care about stuff. I think it's okay to give a fuck. Everyone has to be like, I'm not like mad about it. Like, that's another reason why like political shit is like all fucked up. Because you have a bunch of people who are fucking retarded spazzes who care too much in a bad way. And they're too passionate about retarded shit and they don't know anything. They just care. And there's other people who are real smart who have a lot of solutions, but they're more worried about like, whatever, man, politics are fucking gay. I just don't, but I don't care. But I don't care. It's the same thing. I've said it a million times. You see all these people online. They'll be like, politics are gay. You fucking losers. Anyway, here's my deep understanding of the current issue. And you're like, okay, so you care about politics. So stop like, you're doing stolen retard valor. You're pretending to be a nonchalant idiot. And you're actually like really fucking smart. It drives me up a goddamn wall. So that's like my thing. He's definitely doing like Danable said, he's doing a long tongue-in-cheek bit, but I think at the end of the day, like you don't start a YouTube video, because I've seen a million people with big ass YouTube channels, who fucking bail because they don't like it and it's too much. But yeah, I mean, you don't do, yeah, brother. Every month, he's got the podcast. And then it's like, you look at much like this guy tries harder than I do, and I'm an actual comic. You know what I mean? But he does every month or so, he does these like very elaborate, thought out videos. And it's like, that's what I always wonder about oh wait, I'm sorry, I didn't pull it up. But yeah, once a month, he does these very elaborate, thought out breakdown videos. And I always wonder, I'm like, is it like, are you guys stuck in this prison of like pretending not to give a shit, but you actually want to be, a genuine person? You know what I mean? Like you actually want to be a genuine person who expresses the things you like. You know what I'm saying? And once again, I'm saying this as a guy. I've watched some Elephant Graveyard shit. I fuck with this stuff. I don't want no smoke. I think a lot of these videos are made by fans. They clearly know that the people they roast will get eyes on their videos. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's why every channel, I mean, there'd be pockets where it's like every channel every week would have like the walls are closing in on Schultz. And it's like, no, he's just trending this week. My impression is this is an older guy, Gen X maybe, that really loved radio. He does an actual theater performance like the old school radio. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I feel personally attacked. Don't try to make me care, Andy. I'm sorry. But that's the thing, though. It's like, I know you're being funny. I'm not going to take you overly literally. Like, I know you're being funny, but also there is this weird thing where, we've been tricked. PvP, play with that hair. Calm down. Join the Big Red Patreon. Big Red in the Morning on Patreon. It's sparse now, but I'm gonna get a routine and post regularly over there as well. Bonus content of me reading silly shit. But yeah, if you want to see some hair twirling, go join my Patreon. Also join the Panties Patreon if you haven't already. Do that and then the Big Red one. But no, that is like a big thing now that kind of like bums me out. Cause it's like a thing. Everyone's like tricked themselves into being like, nah, dude, I just have to be like, I'm like, whatever about shit. Nothing really fucking matters. And you're like, it's okay to like stuff, man. Just don't be like a fake fucking retard. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Just don't be like a fake fucking retard about it. Yeah, because there's certain things that I passionately care about, and there's certain things I could give a fuck about. That's fine. Just be you. Just be you. Oh, let me show you a deep understanding of the topic. But I don't like give a fuck. It's fucking gay to give a fuck. Well, you're gay then. What's up, gay guy?
has his own theory about what's driving us toward the end of the age.
Hard times create hard men. Hard men create soft times. Soft times.
There's another thing he's going to touch on that a lot of people get tripped up in. They hear a cliche. That's a thing people have said over and over and over again. What he's just saying. Hard times create soft men. Soft times create hard men. Or whatever the fuck it was. That's a cliche you hear over and over and over again. And people go like, oh, not that again. But it's like, it's not wrong, though. People associate something with being oversaid and cringe with wrong. It's not wrong, though. You know? So it's like, yeah, maybe find a more creative way to say it. But it's like, it all comes back to the thing where it's like, everyone's too just hyper focused on like what's funny. And it's like sometimes having a real conversation, talking about what you care about and what you like and what's right and what's wrong isn't always like funny. You know what I mean? But it's like, that's the thing people get tripped up on. Just because it's cringe doesn't mean it's wrong. But your comedic sensors have been program you to be like, they program you to be like, well, that makes me feel cringe. This must be stupid. And it's like, no. There's plenty of things out there that are gay and overused, but are accurate as shit.
Times creates.
What'd you guys take that motherfucking hat off? No shirt hair play on Patreon. No shirt hair play? Nah, shirt's staying on. I don't know if I can do hair play. That feels like pornography. I don't feel attacked anymore. Good, Dunbar. Attacking the Illuminati through the comedy angle is pretty dumb. Why do we want men to be hard? Hard men create long nights. So soft times make me break up. Soft boobies make me hard times.
Soft men create hard times. We are now around soft men in hard times.
In his reality, he's a hard man in a world run by...
Yeah, and well, that's funny. Joe Rogan, the MMA fighting bow hunter, he thinks he's hard. I was like, I mean, I don't know, man. It's kind of a manly man. Yeah, I say rock hard. Good, Tonya. Good. On this stream, we're all hard. Yeah, no, but he's like, see, that's the problem with dudes like this is it's like, what's he wrong about that? He's kind of right though. You're just sitting there going like, this feels gay. No. You know, and it's like, yeah, can maybe make fun of him for saying it cliched, but like it really is a thing of like, well, what is he wrong about?
Soft men who have allowed the destruction to happen. He's been yelling about that cliff we're all supposedly headed towards, but he feels like nobody's listening. So now he feels like the destruction must happen in order to restore the world back to its proper state.
I don't think we're going to wake up. I think it's going to take something like a natural disaster or some real...
I'm going to jump ahead a little bit.
We're at the end of the age.
To begin, he and the cultists needed to die so that the spaceship flying behind the comet could pick up their overthinking. Cultism and guru worship, or complete submission to authority. Sometimes all of the above.
Greetings to you, my friends. It's me, D. Trussell.
Take this guy, Duncan Trussell, for example. One of Joe's longtime...
Yeah, I don't know. Are you about to shit on Duncan Trussell? That's not... I was like, dude, you might not like stand-up. You might not like comedy.
Friends and a former advocate of radical honesty, truth-seeking, and psychedelic wisdom. Not long ago, he was the lone voice of reason in Joe's inner circle, and the only guy to openly predict how Joe would be corrupted by powerful forces looking to exploit him for access to his far-reaching media platform.
People have decided you're one of the magnifying glasses focusing this beam of attention into the world. You have to watch out because people are going to like try to exploit you. That's the main thing, is like people recognizing what you are, who have political agendas, will infiltrate your shit and then start blowing out their radioactivity into the world. And you have to wrestle with your identity. I worry about you, man.
He was well aware of these billionaire techno-wizard freaks out there, manipulating new media before...
I mean, we talked about it already. Like, I think I think Joe's methods on interviewing these guys is way more exposing than I think. If you go past the surface level of him just being polite to them, his interviews are way more exposing than you think.
Converts you. Like at any given moment, you can shed your operating system. You could.
The new reality becomes, which is vital because if the simulation crumbles, it's all over.
Get people to believe nothing, so they just realize, okay, who knows?
Yeah, well, lucky man.
I'm just going to be obedient to keep my head down. I'm just going to put a sign in the window, claiming to.
Very much.
And you're a comedian too, huh?
Yeah.
No shit.
You were murdering so hard when you're climbing on a stool. I was like, holy f***. Because we all thought you're just like a famous guy who just does stand up on the side.
Uh-oh.
And we were like, no, this guy's a murderer.
There it is. This lie is just so egregious, I had to call this brain science guy called Sam to get some perspective. Hey man, yeah, can you just explain how people could be this dishonest?
The harder the lies are to believe, I mean, really, the impossible lie functions like a loyalty test, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Hopefully this is a bit, because if you're using modern day Sam Harris as the voice, I feel like this has to be a bit, because I feel like modern day Sam Harris as the voice of reason is not a good move.
Still.
Code for being in the cult is designed to get
right.
people to believe nothing, so they just realize, okay, who knows?
Yeah, well, lucky man.
I'm just going to be obedient to keep my head down. I'm just going to put a sign in the window.
You're going to create a circle of liars around yourself.
Ousted comedian Chris D'Elia tried to defend Joe's last special, but he really struggled to navigate that maze, trying to find that perfect take that's going to convincingly praise that comedy atrocity.
Rogan's special came out, and I'm happy about it.
Oh,
it's
sorry,
so
1
crazy
second.
how, like,
My bad.
obviously obviously, I honestly haven't seen the reviews. I saw somebody saying it, and they were like, this is a hacky, this is a hack. And what?
His platform will
want to be on
them, bless them with his endorsement, and pull them out of their hellish obscurity.
So there's kind of this trickle down, Once Joe likes me, then your mom's house goes, want to be on our episode. Once Rogan was like, this Jeff Dye guy's really good, then everyone else has to fall in line.
Right, everyone else
wait,
does.
now I gotta treat daddy like dad. I gotta kiss the rings, You don't go on Joe Rogan and then start talking shit. Joe's dad.
The second pillar is they are the anti-mainstream,
Can I say this too? Like, I don't know. I'm not. This isn't like directed at Jeff Dye, because I've seen a bunch of Jeff Dye stuff, and he's interesting. He's smart. I've seen a bunch of his clips. He's funny. So it's not really. I'm not like. I don't want this to come off like I'm analyzing that Jeff Dye clip, but Jeff Dye, I think, is just also like that clip seemed like he's just kind of like analyzing it. From like he's analyzing it from like a career-oriented person, which I think is good if you want a career. But also there's just like, what's this thing of like, is this thing of like, well, everyone's scared to say the wrong thing about Rogan or say the wrong thing around Rogan. And you're like, sure. Like, are we all going to pretend that like, or let me not say sure. I feel like that gives the wrong context. Like, yeah, are we all going to pretend that like we're not all aware of the idea of like, if we become friends with Rogan, he'll bring us on the podcast and it may change our lives? Are we not all aware of that? Sure. But there is also a thing too where like, people have the capacity to genuinely like Rogan. So it's like, well, they want to be nice. It's like, I always talk about it too with me, where it's like, I always like make the clarification. It's like, I'm not jerking Rogan. I mean, I might be jerking Rogan off, but it's also just, I've been a hardcore fan of his since before I started doing comedy. And it's the same thing. It's like, I've talked to comics in private about Rogan. Dude, like no one said, and it's like in environments where like you could say anything. No one says a bad thing about him. Like he might just be a chill dude. Like it's I understand like he's probably a billionaire and it's hard for people to wrap their heads around that. He literally might just be a chill dude. So this whole thing of like everyone's afraid to talk bad. No, he's like a nice guy. I think from what I've gathered from people. I've only met him once, and he was incredibly nice to me. Moon is a hologram. Birds are drones. Exactly. I saw a Skanks clip. Jeff Dye was on there. Well, I'm not gonna say Jeff Dye's a catty bitch. Jeff Dye does like to dip his toe in drama more so than the average comic. So there is that. So you gotta like keep that in mind when Jeff Dye is talking about stuff. But I do like Jeff Dye. I don't trust born with blurred images. I'm not gonna believe a blurred face. Yeah. Well, but they are Asian women, so I'd kiss him too. Yeah, Jeff Dye is very kissable. He's very handsome, yes. Yeah, I only ever got into Rogan because I liked that he was a comedian commentating on UFC events. Yeah, I'll keep it a buck. I haven't watched a lot of Rogan's later shit, but I was obsessed with stand up. I thought he was a funny actor. I like his Fear Factor shit. Not that Fear Factor was like a big part of it. Yeah, I like his UFC commentary. Then you listen to the podcast, you're like, dude, he's just like a cool dude. I'm not trying to like suck him off, but he's just like a cool guy. Like, oh, this guy seems like a fun guy to hang out with. He's into cool stuff. Like, you know what it is? It's like everyone's always trying to like game plan and game theory and figure it out and connect the dots. And it's like, I mean, he's a guy who he does stand-up comedy and he's big into smoking weed and he's always drinking good whiskey and he's into bow hunting and he commentates MMA and like apparently he's like really into classic cars and all. You're like, that just sounds like a cool dude. You know what I mean? Like, I understand the apprehension, but after you think about it, you're like, he might just be a good hang. You know what I mean? You're like, no, I've created this caricature in my head and you can't be friends with him, guys.
Anti-commercial, anti-establishment underdogs. Dear Leader gained much of his power by selling himself as the antidote to corporate mainstream media and culture. His platform is now...
That's my other thing about Rogan that irks me about people. Fine. You think he's cringe. You don't like his delivery method. Please tell me what Rogan like. And I'm not talking about like there was apparently that one clip where he was like, you know, they're putting litter boxes in classrooms. And Rogan got called out for that. And Rogan was like, dude, I'm gonna keep it straight up. I was told that by a friend in the school system or something like that. He said something like that. I forget what it was. So yeah, he got that wrong. He trusted someone he shouldn't have trusted. He got that wrong. I'm talking about like these big issues when it comes to like trans people in sports, when it comes to like the war, when it comes to like the vaccine. Broadly speaking, not saying like, oh, this one day he got this thing wrong. It's like, yeah, man, if you talked for 9 hours a week into a microphone, you'd get a lot of stuff wrong. I'm saying, what topic broadly is he wrong about? You know, and a lot of them he's right about. A lot of them you might disagree. And then I say, well, is he unreasonable about his opinion? And it's like, no, he's not. Like, so I don't fully get beyond like, you know, some petty shit of like, I like this guy. I don't know why he's bigger than Rogan. It's like I think it's a lot of, and that's why I always say it's like, you got to think about Pusha T. How do you be an educated hater? And it's like a lot of these people are being uneducated haters. You know what I mean? I hate Cormier. What? You saying Cormier or Chromier? What's that? Yeah, but like that's my other thing about him. It's like, I mean, what's he like? What opinion he has is just like over the top and insane and not reasonable. I genuinely want to know.
Anti-establishment underdogs. Dear Leader gained much of his power by selling himself as the antidote to corporate mainstream media.
Both can be happening. Cool guy with influence. It's going to attract a cult of personality. Well, that's the thing. Whenever you get a high level of influence, you're going to have a bunch of like leeches and climbers around you. You know what I mean? And it's like, I mean, we saw it with the first round of like Rogan's friends. You know, not all of them, but like you see, like, you know, find out like Chris D'Elia was a huge deal. We found out that guy was an absolute fucking creep starting Colts. I've heard I don't want to shit on him because I heard he's not like a bad dude, but like, you know, Brendan Schaub, he had some like, he's had a bunch of weird shit he did. You know what I mean? Like, like his initial circle's not the funny, and then now you see a lot of the dudes who he still keeps in his circle. Well, not even his like circle, because a lot of them got bigger and shit like that. But you know what I mean? Like he had some hits, he had some misses. You know, like the Aries and Seguras of the world are the hits, and then like I said, Dalia and Shab and stuff. Although I do feel bad about Shab. I've heard he's like a cool dude. But like that's what's gonna happen. You see it all the time. You see all your friends with a little bit of influence, and there's that one person who's really good at climbing, who's really good at hiding that they suck ass. And it's like, it's that awkward moment where if you say anything, you're gonna look like a petty hater bitch. But it's just, what I mean, you see it all the fucking time. That's just the way of life. That's the other thing too. There's a lot of things happening in these situations that are it's just part of life, and no one wants to treat it that way. It's going to attract a cult of personality more so, even because he's in the comedy world. There's always sycophants and yes men and people who want to advance and gain favor, but he does seem like a good hang. And that's my thing. Like, yeah, like you said, you're going to attract all that stuff, but like, what about Rogan's like that bad? That's my thing about Rogan. I go, everyone's acting like he's like fucking Hitler. And I'm just like, no, he doesn't have to be your favorite guy, but like, what about him's that bad? Chromio? What's Chromio? I hate the first Willy Wonka movie. It scares me. Fair enough. He's far too friendly with CIA and government assets to my taste now, but his podcast from 2010 to 2016 was foundational to how I approach my life. I don't know, man. I mean, like that's the thing. You gotta put yourself in his place. Like, put yourself in Rogan's place and just pretend he's the most, like, he's such a conspiracy theorist. He puts Sam she's great. He puts Sam Tripoli to shame. Let's say he's 10 times more over the top than Sam Tripoli. And you're in that place. You're not going to interview the CIA guys? Like, they want to talk to you. You're not going to try to like talk to them about stuff. And then on top of that, if he just keeps it a buck in those situations, like, again, those dudes are going to expose themselves. So like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like people were so mad that the Nelk boys interviewed Netanyahu. Yeah. Do they deserve some shit because they were so bad and so uneducated? Of course. But at the same time, we have another mainstream, because no one was happy that episode happened. So like now a bunch of people got to watch that, and we got to have another very clear example of how Netanyahu lies about everything. And I mean, that's like a net positive to this shit. You know what I'm saying? That's a net positive. Chromio was talking shit to Bones Jones at a media event. Jones said, I beat you when I was on coke. LMA also, this is... Oh, what up, Netflix? How you doing, brother? Well, that's a funny reason to hate Cormier. Oh, that was Tonier that said Chromio. That's so funny. Hating Cormier because he was mean to John Jones, a literal piece of shit. Not literal. He's not a pile of dookie. That sounds racist now that sounds like I was accidentally racist. No, but like literally, like John Jones is a piece of shit. I mean, he might be the greatest fighter ever, but he's a bad person and a piece of shit. So to be like, can you believe Daniel Cormier was mean to the really, 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 really bad person? It's a very funny reason to not like Daniel Cormier. Wait, who the fuck said they hate the first Willy Wonka? You're dead to me. Don't come across fucking Tony on that shit. That's not why I hate him. That's just a funny line. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Media and culture. His platform is now bigger and more influential than the mainstream media he once stood in opposition to. But because being anti-mainstream was such a fundamental part of his sense of self and his show and his audience's identity, they all have to keep pretending that they are not mainstream. Admitting otherwise...
I don't know. I understand where he's coming from. Well, you can't act like they're a part of the, like, saying mainstream media. They're not a part of the mainstream media, but you do have to remember. It's like when the CNN chick was asking Tim Dillon about being the establishment, and it's like, all right, well, if Tim Dillon and Rogan are the establishment, why are we still sending money to Israel? Why are we still fighting the war in Iran? Why are we I mean, why does the country function the way it functions? Why is weed still illegal in every state? So it's like, yeah, you can be the biggest influencer of the conversation. There could still be a shit. Like, are you telling me the country and the world and the policies are downstream from what Rogan thinks? I mean, I don't think that's true at all. So I understand he's the mainstream media more so, but the the deep state, the government, whoever you want to call it, the establishment, whatever you want to call it, they still run the shit. You know what I'm saying? Watch Easy Rider today. It's still a whacked out trip. Hell yeah. Just because you have a voice doesn't dictate the lanes you're in. Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like because people forget, like, the mainstream media, that was just a tool so all the fucked up shit they were doing was normalized. Now it's like they're still doing all the same fucked up shit. Now people are just noticing it more as fucked up because they have less people out there blindly co-signing it. And there's like a wider range of conversation being had about these topics.
Could collapse their new reality, so they stick together, upholding that pillar, keeping their simulacrum stable.
Rejection, rejection of whatever is whatever people think the comedy industry is, because people think the comedy industry is like some group of people with power that control all and give people specials that don't deserve it. There's all this like weird thoughts about the comedy business, but when the comedy business is only comedians, there's no business element behind it. There's no networks. There's no producers.
People always do that too. They point to Shab. They'll be like, well, he didn't deserve the special, and you're like, didn't he? Like, what does it mean to deserve? And I'm not trying to run cover for Shab. I'm not like pretending he was a good comic or anything like that. I'm not trying to be mean to the guy, but like, what do you mean? Because like you're the czar, you should be the czar of comedy, and it's like, no, a business had money. They thought they could make money off Shab because he was hot. They paid for his special, and then if I'm correct, let me double check this, because I love to have these opinions and then just look it up and find out I'm right, because I'm a good guesser. Stand-up comedy. 2016, Shab and Callen released a sketch comedy series on iTunes called Fighter and the Kid. God, no one understands how to talk about comedy. Mythbusters. Oh, here we go. Ultimate Fighter, Fighter and the Kid, Range 13, Below the Belt, Bravo's Play-by-Play, The Tax Collector. He was in a movie like that? Why does this not have a list of his stand-up comedy specials? Oh, here we go. My ass hurts. Yeah, here we go. So it's like, oh, he didn't deserve that. Blah, 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 this and that. And it's like, okay, so it was 2019. Shab was real hot. Showtime saw Shab. And they're like, oh, he's real hot right now. Maybe if we pay for the special, people will watch it. They pay for the special. They do it. He gets that one special. And then it doesn't, from what I'm assuming it didn't go well. Everyone was like, oh, this guy can't do stand-up. You know what I mean? Like, okay. And then it's like, how many more specials did he get? Well, he self-produced two. Yeah, he released Gringo Poppy in 2022 on his YouTube and then quit stand-up. You know what I mean? So it's like, these things sound like good points in like in a very narrow field of vision, but then if you pull out, they're like, yeah, well, Shab got a special. Yeah, and then people realized he was bad, and then he quit stand-up. So yeah, you're gonna get like, you'll get the one, like, it's like how some rapper, a lot, like every year, a shit ton of rappers blow up for a summer and then they just disappear. Like, I think Ice Spice got 2 years out of it. And then we were like, you have one song. Like, you're cool giant ass. I love hearing you talk about getting your pussy ate. That's cool. But Then you were like, oh, but now it's like over. Like you haven't written a second song. Like she put out multiple songs, but they're literally all the same fucking song. And then she just kind of like that's the fucking thing that happens for everyone. Now I get being mad because it's like, oh, well, stop just giving shitty people these things. You know, and it's like, to that I say, like, that's where you as a consumer have a huge voice. So it's like, go watch good things. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like that, like, if you focus more on promoting good shit and less on complaining, and that's not to say you can't complain or critique stuff. You can. But I'm just saying, like, you know, imagine if he spent an hour and a half making a video about a comedian he really likes. You know, like, no one's going to watch this and go, my mind was changed. They're going to watch this and go, great video. I fucking hate Rogan. Or shitty video. Rogan's the man. You know, that's the only thing that's going to happen watching these videos. Or there's the people who just like chaos. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, like, if you're mad, you know what I mean? Like, that's not what when I'm doing when I talk about music, I'm Big Red in the Morning, or I'll make these like TikTok videos and shit where I'm talking about music. I named it something gay and retarded, but I think I'm going to change my mute because the one TikTok, the TikTok I have two now. I want to do one where I just post like sketches and funny stuff. But yeah, what am I trying to say? Sorry, I'm all over the place. But yeah, no, like, I started posting a bunch of my TikTok. I for some reason one day changed it to I just like had this because I started doing Big Red in the Morning, and I'm like, oh, I'm doing it like a DJ. So I just changed. I thought it was funny. I called it DJ Andy to God. And the second I changed it, I go, why did I do that? And then TikTok doesn't let you change it back for a month. But I think I'm gonna change because my one TikTok, TikTok's got this weird fucking thing. Once you sort of get locked into a thing, it's like, it's hard to like get out of that. And then if you want to get out of that, you have like TikTok rewards specific consistent content. So rather than being like, this is my comedy page and I post all over the place, I go, well, I'm just going to turn this into like a music commentary page, and then I'll make another personal TikTok account where I can post, like, because I started making those, like, I don't know, I guess you could call them sketches, but I started doing those Instagram reel things. And I was like, let me just post those on another TikTok where I change it to my own name or something like that. But anyway, but that's what I'm trying to do with my TikTok. And then when I talk about music on YouTube, it's like, I'm just trying to promote good shit, you know, because it's like, I noticed it's like, because also too, even when like I will take the time to like shit on stuff that I think really deserves it. That's why I made videos about Machine Gun Kelly, and I made videos about Sleep Token and stuff. But I gotta be honest, it's exhausting dealing with the fans when they're mad at you like that. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm never gonna mince words. I'm never gonna like bite my tongue or pull punches or anything like that. It's just, it's that thing where you're like, fuck, we got to do this. Because you know you're going to get shit. And it's like, I was making these videos talking about that shitty ass band Sleep Token, who's like really just in the way. You know what I mean? But, and like, you know, you do that, then you go back to being like, hey, this band's really good. This band's really good. Because it's like, you're not going to change minds by just constantly complaining. You know, you're going to change minds by like just promote it. That's what I'm trying to do with like Drag the Lake and the fact that Big Red in the Morning's kind of like half a music show now. I'm not even like, I'm over being like, you shouldn't listen to that band. They suck ass. I could be like, hey, it's fine to like whatever you like, but you want something better? Mosey on over here. You know what I mean? There's definitely an oversaturation of specials, but it's also never been easier to film things. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing why on certain topics, I've been thinking about this a lot too. There's certain topics where people need to stop hyper obsessing over analyzing shit. Cause it's just like you're just like, you need to understand certain things are just market forces. So it's like, you know, oh, everyone's got a comedy special and we need to figure out the psychological reason. You're like, no, it's just easier to film shit. So more people are filming shit. It's easier and cheaper to film shit. You're gonna get an oversaturation of it. Everyone's gonna get fucking annoyed, and then it's gonna even out. That's what happens every fucking time. That's what happens with Dunbar's bringing up Ice Spice. Ice Spice made that song about shits and farts, and I don't think that helped. That also didn't help. Yeah. That was the thing about Ice Spice. Is like Ice Spice is new. The way she's doing shit, it's new. It goes fucking nuts because everyone doesn't know how to process it. Then you process it longer. You realize like, oh, she's not evolving. And then it balances out. And now it's been, yeah, maybe we had to experience Ice Spice longer than we wanted to, but now it's evened out and no one talks about Ice Spice anymore. That's how everything fucking works. So it's like, it's this thing where human beings go through the world refusing to understand human tendencies. They refuse to want to understand human behavior and human tendencies, and they just act like it's like, what's this unreal phenomenon? You're like, that's just how shit fucking happens. It's not like, I'm not saying you just like deal with it and get your cheeks clapped, but you need to understand. You need to understand some of these are just normal human functions that's happening right now. What do you think about the what do you think about the band Turnstile? Groundbreaking or mid? They're subtly groundbreaking. People don't. Here's the thing with Turnstile. A lot of people are like reacting to it and they don't know why Turnstile is great, but they're still talking like they know why Turnstile is great. And those are the people that kind of are cringy and suck ass. And they don't mean to suck ass. They're just not overly critical human. They're not, they don't take a lot of time to like understand it. Now, the people who are like Turnstile fucking sucks ass, they're also wrong. Because the thing that makes Turnstile great is, and I was trying to edit up a clip about this, but it was getting too many cuts. And it just, I don't like when I post my clips and there's like 50 fucking cuts when it's just me talking. It doesn't look good in my opinion. But I wanted to post a thing about this, but this is what's up with Turnstile. Is Turnstile, like, you know, at their core, they're just doing like really cool, like fast-paced indie punk type shit. But the reason that they're groundbreaking, the reason that they're subtly groundbreaking is they started off as a hardcore band. And then they sort of lightened up their sound, and now they're much more of a mainstream rock band. You know, like a punk-oriented mainstream rock band. But at their core, their songwriting, the base of their songwriting is in hardcore music. And that's why it feels different, but also it's like, but this also, they're not reinventing the wheel. But when you watch them perform, you're like, why does this feel so different? You know what I mean? But it's not at the same time. It's because they're using hardcore style. They're using hardcore to write their songs, and they're presenting it in a pop way. Ice Spice is the female version of the baby. That's fair. I'm not deep into them, but that's fair. Turnstile is basically pop trapped under ice. Little oversimplification, but ballpark. I'll give you it. Turnstile rules. The Baltimore scene is elite, and Turnstile is one of the greatest bands from that scene. Yeah, I think. Here's my thing. I think Turnstile rips. I think a lot of the they attract too much hipster energy, and I say that as a dirty hipster, but it's just like, you know, they attract a lot of hype beast energy. So like, I don't love watching their videos because they attract a lot of hype beast energy, and I'm not a fan. But anyway, all right, I'm gonna jump around, but I'm kind of getting to being done with this.
There's no person, no executive. There's none of that. So it's just wild.
Dear leader is a billionaire, but instead of average human. And how difficult it can be to even be around such low-tier guys.
Our ability to talk to literally anyone is a skill set. Like,
totally.
Do you ever have to, when you go to like a party with your ladies' work friends?
Yes.
And you're like, bro, there are fucking just goobers out here. Yeah, just office banter. I was at a work thing with my wife. We're like in a building, and outside the window, it looked like someone was about to jump off.
Oh, wow.
The guy goes, he's like, is that guy like, is he walking on the roof? I go, the part didn't go his way, so he's just.
yeah. And they're like,
Pillar 4, they are brave truth tellers and victims of an authority.
I mean, I'm not gonna watch. I'll watch it fucking shit on this guy. That guy's some pretentious cunt shit. Yeah, he's a real. I forget this guy's name. Didn't he get in trouble for like lying about a racist story? Yeah, he's one of those clapter guys. He's one of those like progressive liberal dudes who it's all that like cunty beta male shit. It's a lot. It's exhausting. It's not the type of dude energy I like to be around. Yeah. I've laughed at Turnstile being called barista core. Well, that's the thing. They've leaned into that aesthetic, and you're gonna get fucking. They've leaned into like the fake Coachella patron aesthetic, and that's the problem. Like, you're gonna get a lot of fans that are into this because it's the cool thing. So yeah, I love the music. The aesthetic is exhausting. Busanman.
Mob of censors. They need to be seen as oppressed victims so they can appear as heroes for standing up to the
Well, there is a problem too with like, it's why I don't always agree with like the modern day philosopher thing, because the reason the modern day philosopher thing is wrong is because it's like it oversells the average comedian's ability to analyze information. Cause like that'll be hit or miss. The process of stand-up comedy, it teaches you to notice things, and it also trains your brain sometimes. It teaches you to notice what's weird about a thing everyone thinks is regular. It teaches you to notice what's weird about a thing everyone thinks is regular, and it also teaches you to have a contrarian point of view on stuff, just to sort of like, kind of look at things differently. That's what it teaches you. It teaches you how to look at things differently. And then you like do a joke, you'll be like, that's weird. And then you'll give like a little act out, or you'll say a little thing to be like, let me enhance why this is weird. The problem with that like modern day philosopher tag is like, at the same time, so you gotta the way that the comedian's brain develops is always looking at things in a contrarian way, and then figuring out how to relay that interesting thought in a way that the crowd will get on board with. So it's like there is still a part of the comedic brain, if you're going to do comedy in that way, that is training you to be palatable to the group. So a lot of comics they'll look at the weird thing, but then they'll go about it. They'll process it in a way that makes them still like likable and preferred by people. So that's why a lot of times comics are good at the noticing. They're not good at the analysis all the time, which is why I think the modern day philosophers are not a great term. So, yeah. And it's why when you see guys like that being like super pretentious, because it's like so many comics will be, well, that'll be like the funny thing where you'll be like, oh, is that your big insight on life? The work party's weird. Oh, work parties aren't fun. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, regular jobs kind of suck. You're like, okay. But it's like you're not. The average comic is not any smarter than the average person. They just spend a lot of time. This is why comics trick people into thinking we're smarter than you, because we're not. The vast majority of us are not smarter than you. But the reason comics trick you into thinking we're smarter than you is because we spend our days, like if you look at a regular person with a regular job, you go in, you do your 9 to 5. From 9 to 5, you're in an environment where if you don't behave the proper way, you lose your income. And comics are in an environment where it's like sometimes the fucking crazier you act, the more money you make. But even outside of that, I got the white bullshit. I'm looking at my mouth word. Outside of all that shit, if you what the fuck am I trying to say? Oh yeah, outside of all that shit, you're just all day looking at things from angle. You're making yourself step outside of the normal way people think about things. So it's not like you're hip to anything smart. Like you're not smarter than what everyone else is. You're just thinking about things most people never think about. So then you step out, like if this is where most people think, you step outside of that and you go, I found this interesting thing, and everyone else is like, no, we're in here, that's weird. And then your job as a comedian is to explain why that is interesting, and you usually the best way to do that is in a funny way. So that's like the job. That's sort of what's maybe the job of the comedian's not right, but that's sort of like what's happening in that moment. But yeah. That's why it's just because they're thinking about weirder, more creative shit. Any of that, honestly, with artists or any of that shit, they are able to spend more time thinking more outside the box than the average person is. Because the average person, most of the time, like, dude, if you think about it, like you live in the burbs, you got kids, you go to your 9 to 5, where if you don't act a certain type of way, you get fired, and then you take your kid to soccer practice. So now here's another way that you have to act. And then you go to like some fucking shitty barbecue with these people. And like those people are fucking stuffy cunts. So you have to act a certain type of way around there. And then you're basically, I don't know. I think that's why people say the N-word so much on fucking Call of Duty. Because you're just like normal guys spending the whole time just you're constantly spending your time in areas where there are very strict rules on your behavior. And comics spend a lot of time in areas where there are no rules or very little rules on your behavior. And so when there's very little rules on your behavior and you think about certain things, that part of you that goes like, you shouldn't think about that, that doesn't pop up. So it's like you just spend more time doing that. You know, it's like if you were doing leg day and then I was just doing shoulders all the time. And I go, look at my shoulders. They're way bigger. That's why I'm better at working out than you. And I have a better knowledge of it. You're like, no. You just spent your time doing that. I spent my time doing this. I need to always be thinking out the box. Dude, sometimes I think up in that box. Don't bar. Motherfuckers will see someone with a morsel of charisma and call him a philosopher. Yeah, dude. And it's like, I'm not shitting on comics. It's just, I'm all about like looking at shit the right way. And like, dude, people gotta stop acting like comics are smarter than anyone else. They just think more creatively, because you have to. If you want to make a fucking movie, you want to write a good fucking joke, you want to do sketches, you just have to think more creative than the average person. You know, you have to think of a thing the average person wouldn't think of, but then when they see it, it makes sense to them. That's what you have to do. I'm really fucking smart, dude. Fuck those fucking black guys I podcast with. I'm so fucking smart. Just kidding. Love you guys. Motherfuckers, mistake is thinking the brain of a comedian develops. It can. But it doesn't, like, if you're not proactive about it, it's not going to develop any more than the average human being. Nah, bro, we're so Machiavellian for watching dudes make jokes about jerking off. All my enemies fear me. Oh, that's fair. You guys are the counterculture. Stanhope has cerebral bits, but I think it's an element he added to the art of comedy, not an inherent trait. Yeah, comedians have a lot of thesis and premises, but don't bring it full circle all the time. No. I have so many friends that have very interesting ideas, and their dismount on those ideas is very poor. All right, guys, I gotta keep it a buck. I am starving. I know it's a shock, but Andy Malfrina is hungry right now, and I'm a little spent on this elephant graveyard video. This was we did 2.5 hours. That's pretty cool. God, I can yap, guys. Help a brother out. I know a lot of you are watching on the Panties channel. If you're watching on the Panties channel, go join that Patreon. If you haven't joined if you joined the Panties Patreon already and got a couple more bucks burning your pocket, I have a Big Red in the Morning Patreon. I got a little bit of shit up there, and I will be posting more over the time. But the shit's good. The shit's good, and I think it'll be worth the money. And if you don't want to do that, that's completely fine. YouTube and Twitch, just search Big Red in the Morning. Hit the sub there. I'm trying to get those numbers up, and yeah, you'll be able to find me on TikTok if you're into that shit. I got a whole bunch of stuff. Also, Drag the Lake, No More Heroes. You guys know the drill. Please help me out. I just had to drop 4K on my fucking car. So if anyone just wants to Venmo me money, that would be cool too. If anyone, guys, hit me up on Instagram and ask for my Venmo, and then send me a bunch of your money. All right. I'm just fucking around. Unless you want to. For dear God, unless you want to. I love you guys. Have a great day. See you when I